comes into the second round of the FCS playoffs for the second straight year. Meanwhile, Sam Houston State comes in for the fourth consecutive time, including 2 trips to the national championship game. It's a battle-hardened FCS shootout, and it's coming up next. You're watching the NCAA FCS Football Championship, brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Live from Burgess Snow Field here at JSU Stadium in Jacksonville, Alabama. Today, the Bearcats from Sam Houston State take on the Gamecocks of Jacksonville State. And here's an updated look at the FCS playoff brackets. The winner of this one will battle the winner between Liberty and Villanova coming up later this afternoon. And hi, everybody. Glad you could join us on this Saturday alongside a former Florida State offensive lineman, Forrest Connolly. Roy Philpott here with you. And Forrest, we have 2 of the hottest teams in the country coming into this matchup. Jacksonville State, led by first-year head coach in John Gross. They've won 10 games in a row. Meanwhile, Sam Houston State, first-year head coach in Casey Keeler, 9-4, and also off a win against Southeastern Louisiana from last week.
Well, John Gross talked to us about the process, and you've seen that throughout this 10-game win streak. And when you talk about Coach Keeler, he's a new coach with basically a new ball club. Only 4 starters from the spring game started opening day for Sam Houston State.
For the Gamecocks of Jacksonville State, one of the top ground games in the country. 4 different players for us have rushed for over 600 yards this season. Very impressive.
Well, they've got a 3-headed monster in the backfield, and just when you think you've stopped those guys, their quarterback can tuck it and run it, and he not only runs for first downs, he runs for touchdowns.
Meanwhile, for Sam Houston State, they're led in the receiving game by TCU transfer Ladarius Brown. He has gone off this season.
Well, they call him the Big Puma, and at 6'4", 220 pounds, he's able to separate and use his body. He has great hand control, and he will make big plays over the top.
I know also one of your favorite players for the Bearcats, P.J. Hall, on special teams. He can be a force today.
Well, he's a force on the defensive line, but he's also a force blocking kicks, so I look for him to have a big ball game as well.
Kickoff between Jacksonville State and Sam Houston State here in the second round of the FCS playoffs. It's coming up next. And welcome to Jimmy V Week for Cancer Research on ESPN as we continue our commitment to the V Foundation and Jim Balbano's dream to defeat cancer. Forrest Connolly, Roy Philpott, round 2 of the FCS playoffs. Survive and advance. Speaking of Jimmy V, that's what it's all about this afternoon.
Well, it's definitely all about surviving and advancing. As a coaching staff, you're going to do one of 2 things tomorrow. You're either going to be game planning for the next game, or you're going to be collecting equipment. So if you're your coaches, you want to tell your teams, hey, guys, I know you're ready to continue to play on. You don't want to turn your stuff in. Let's go out and get it done this afternoon.
Casey Keeler will try to do that for the Bearcats. 11 seasons at Delaware. He won the 2003 national championship.
Well, he snaps the ball very fast, and defenses have to react to that. And when you've got those steady running backs like he has the ability to use those guys as decoys and get around the edge himself.
Jacksonville State off a bye week as the number 3 national seed. And the handoff goes to DeMarcus James. Tackled right at the line of scrimmage, Michael Wade, after a 1-yard pickup with a stop.
When you look at the offense the defense for Sam Houston State, the impact player is P.J. Hall, and he'll be facing Justin Lee. Justin Lee, the left tackle, has to keep his shoulders straight to the line of scrimmage. He can't give an easy edge to P.J. Hall because he can be disruptive inside and outside rushing the passer.
On 2nd down and 9, Jenkins with all kinds of time. Down the field, pass is caught. That's Merrill. Ahead to the 40-yard line, and a tackle made by Trey Orr. After a 29-yard pickup, very impressive drive to open this ball game.
Well, it's impressive because the way they run the football, it almost forces Sam Houston State to think about putting 7 and 8 in the box and going man coverage on the outside.
Gamecocks will go tempo. There's P.J. Hall, our first look as he drags down James right at the line of scrimmage. And in fact, Forrest, he'll lose a yard.
Well, he is the most disruptive defensive player that I've seen this year, whether it be FBS or FCS. He can rush the passer from the inside, he can rush from the outside, and he's just as good in the run game. A lot of times you see great pass rushers not be great run defenders. He can do both very well.
On second down, empty backfield. Jenkins goes the distance looking for Barge. Contact. The pass is caught. And the touchdown is called. That should be pass interference against Sam Houston State. But did he have complete control as he crossed the goal line at the very end?
Well, first of all, Eric Abarosi did not turn around to locate the football. If you watch, he's beat off the line of scrimmage. He never turns around to locate the football. He runs through the offensive player, and you see him stretch the ball across the goal line. I think that will definitely be a touchdown for Josh Barge, because you see he's got control of the football right here. Well, his elbow is down. I think he'll be down at about the 1.5-yard line if they review this play, because his left elbow is down. But he had control of the football, and if his left elbow doesn't go down, I think he does get that in for a touchdown. But the left elbow's down, I think it'll be down at the 1.5-yard line.
That would be Barge's 5th touchdown reception of the season. Our Missouri Valley Football Conference officiating crew, led by Greg Sujak, will send it up to the replay booth, where Gerald Hodges will have the final say out of the Southeastern Conference. A lot going on this play. First off, heck of a play made by Barge to maintain control of the football after being bumped.
Well, they got the matchup that they wanted. They got Barge out on a safety. And Eric Abarosi has to do a better job of turning around and locating the football. If he locates the football and he runs it to the receiver, they won't call that a penalty because he's playing the football as opposed to playing the receiver. He never turned around. So when he ran through the receiver, that was an easy call for the officials to make.
Does the touchdown stand, or is he just short? It looks like he's about a half-yard short based off the last replay.
I think the 1.5-yard line. I think that's where they put the ball down, because that's where his elbow hit. But it was a great catch and a great attempt to get that ball across the end zone.
Greg Sujak with the call.
After review, it was determined that the runner's knee was down with the ball at the 1. It'll be 1st and goal at the 1, going in from the near hash.
So the 39-yard pitch and catch. John Grass has got to be pleased with his start. One more look.
And you see the elbow go down right there. That is where he's down. The official said the knee, I say the elbow. Either one, he's down.
It works.
Yeah.
Fast start for the Gamecocks, still with work to do. 1st and goal from inside the 1. They'll go Wildcat with James. Right side and the easy touchdown. The 14th touchdown of the season for DeMarcus James, a first-team All-Ohio Valley Conference performer, and a very fast start for the Gamecocks.
Too easy. He just followed his lineman into the hole, got his head down. There was no one there for him to run into. Basically walked into the end zone. Great job by the offensive line opening up a hole for him to get through.
It's Jacksonville State offense averaging 36 points per game coming into this ball game. 5th nationally in total offense. So we expected to see some fireworks here today in the 2nd round, and so far that's exactly what we've witnessed. Connor Rulo on for the extra point. Kick is up, it is good, and our new score with 13:33 remaining in our 1st quarter. Jacksonville State strikes first. They lead Sam Houston State 7-0. Fast start for John Gross, head coach of the Jacksonville State Gamecocks. A 5-play, 70-yard scoring drive. DeMarcus James with the touchdown. Now the new school record, career TD scored. Forrest Connolly, Roy Philpott back with you. Very impressive start here for the Gamecocks.
Very impressive, because a lot of those yards were gained through the air. This has been a running team, and you see what they're able to do because teams concentrate on stopping the run when they're able to pass the football.
Kick by Rulo, a pooch kick. Fielded inside the 20. And down the far sideline goes Gerald Thomas. A nice return, and the Bearcats with quality field position for their first drive of the game.
And, you know, Roy, we talked about it off air. This is basically a Texas versus Alabama football game. When you talk about the talent that's out there on this field, a lot of the Sam Houston State, or most of their talent, is from the state of Texas. And when you look at, you know, this Jacksonville State ball club, most of their talent is from the state of Alabama.
There was a late flag thrown.
After the ready for play, number 24 on the kicking team was outside 5 yards from the ball. That's an illegal formation. The 5-yard penalty will be tacked on to the end of the run. 1st and 10.
Tremaine Pope, the guilty party. A golden opportunity now for the Bearcats, and Casey Keeler more than willing to take advantage here, led by Jared Johnson, their sophomore signal caller. Impressed with him on the ground for us a week ago. Through the air, it's still a little bit of a work in progress.
The first half, I think he was too keyed up. He was throwing a lot of high balls. He settled down in the second half. Coach Keeler wants to see him do that early in this ball game.
Keyshawn Hill in the backfield, and he'll get the call on 1st down with running room. Into Jacksonville State territory after the pickup of 12 yards and the stop made by Debarius Miller.
And you just mentioned that Keyshawn Hill, he is an impact player for Sam Houston State. He can take it inside, he can take it outside. And Devontae Sigler, the Auburn transfer, is a big fella on the outside that rarely gets beat by the offensive lineman, and he'll be very disruptive throughout this afternoon.
Quarterback keeper on 1st down. Pickup of 3.5 yards with a tackle made by LaMichael Fanning. And this is what Sam Houston State likes to do. Tempo, speed, all about it on offense. And the pass in the flats looking for Yeti Lewis is incomplete.
And you see an example of it right there. Jared Johnson didn't set his feet. And when you don't set your feet, you don't have control of the football, and that ball sailed on him. He just needs to settle down, take a little bit off the football, and he can get the ball to his playmakers.
Bearcats 40% on 3rd down this season. And a big play here in the early part of our 1st quarter. Four-man front for the Gamecocks. And they'll drop back in zone coverage. Johnson flush. Has Hill, but well short of the 1st down. And that'll bring up 4th and long in decision time for Casey Keeler.
Because he was flushed out of the pocket, he didn't have enough time to set his feet because Yedidiah Lewis had broken open on a post route.
On 4th down, Brad Donovan will be brought onto the field, a backup punter. Did a nice job late in the game last week against Southeastern Louisiana of pinning the lines deep in their own territory. And a short end-over-end kick fielded inside the 20. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Gamecocks, deep in their own territory after the fair catch made by Josh Barge. Gamecocks in their opening series, 5 plays, 70 yards, and the touchdown after this 39-yard pitch and catch to Barge. Honors going to DeMarcus James, a very impressive first drive, and now the Bearcats force need a stop.
Well, right now, if you're the Bearcats, you have to be concerned with the passing game as much as the running game. Coming into this ball game, they knew that there was a four-headed monster running the football. Now, with their ability to pass the ball early in this ball game, you have to wonder how the Bearcats will react.
DeMarcus James met at the line of scrimmage initially by Jacoby Hunter. A pickup of a yard on 1st down.
And early in the ball game, Sam Houston State is still confident in their defensive backs to be able to cover in man coverage on the outside. They're stacking that box. They're putting 7 and 8 in the box and not allowing for Jacksonville State to set up and run the football.
Officially a gain of 2. Play action for Jenkins with time. Looking for Pope in the flats, makes a move, some shake, some bake, and out of bounds. That's another 1st down for the Gamecocks.
And right there you see Pope and Darian Flowers. Darian Flowers has to make that tackle in the open field. You'll get a lot of one-on-one in the open field, and these guys have to make tackles.
On 1st down, Jenkins with a keeper. Sandwich towards the line. And Shea makes the stop. 78 tackles on the season, including 10 for loss after a pickup of a yard.
And you saw the read option on that play. And the thing about Jenkins and making the decision on the read option, because P.J. Hall is so fast and so quick, you don't know if he's going to crash down or if he's going to stay outside. And he has such good reaction time, I think it'll be hard to read him throughout this afternoon.
Diamond formation for Jacksonville State. Read option again. Jenkins tackled behind the line of scrimmage. He'll lose a yard after the play made by Darian Flowers, a sophomore from Tyler, Texas.
And that was a great job by the left side of the defensive line, getting penetration and pushing that offensive line back, which did not allow Jenkins to have the space and the seam to run the football.
Third down and call it 10. Gamecocks perfect so far on third down this afternoon. Jenkins with time, looking for Barge, and it's incomplete. Outstanding recovery. Michael Wade, the leading tackler for the Bearcats, made a strong play there for us.
And Michael Wade never turned around to locate the football, but what he did was he arrived at the receiver at the same time the football did. Great job. I think Jenkins put a little bit too much air under this football, which allowed Wade to react and get over to the receiver and make contact and jar that ball loose.
That was Dalton Screws, the intended wide receiver. Fourth down and long. The punt team on the field for the first time. Hamish McGinnis, all OVC punter, sends this one high and deep, fielded by Gerald Thomas. And it'll be 1st and 10 for the Bearcats, trailing 7-0 here in Jacksonville when we come back. And back here at JSU Stadium alongside a former FSU standout offensive lineman Forrest Connolly, Roy Philpott. And 1st and 10 for the Bearcats on their second possession here in this first quarter, trailing 7-0. Jalen Overstreet checks in, the backup running back, and the transfer from Texas, as Johnson will lose a yard on first down. Nigel Terrell and also Michael Carlisle collapsing the pocket.
And Donovan Williams missed a block on that play. If he makes that block, you have Johnson with a lot of room to run the football.
A loss of a yard. A week ago, it took Sam Houston State about a half to get going offensively. Probably can't afford that today. Keyshawn Hill on 2nd and long. Gain of 2 yards. It'll bring up 3rd down and a long 8.
And I think throughout the afternoon, you're going to see Jacksonville State stack the box and force Sam Houston State to throw the football. They want to make Jared Johnson beat them with his arm, not his legs.
Gamecocks in press man coverage, and Johnson will get the play call from the sidelines. The offensive coordinator for the Bearcats, Phil Longo's done an outstanding job this year. 36 points per game. Needs to dial one up right here. And a pass is caught by Thomas. He has the first down, and the drive continues. Saran Neal in coverage, but too late. Gain of 14 yards on 3rd down and 8. Sam Houston State defeated Southeastern Louisiana in the first round of the SCS playoffs last week in a home game, 21-17. Handoff to Hill, first down. Gain of 1, maybe 1.5, with a stop made by Caleb Lawrence.
And Caleb Lawrence is doing a good job of clogging up that middle. I love the big fella. You let your stomach hang out. Just let them know. When you're a big fella out there, you don't want to be pretty. You want everybody to see everything you got, man. So I love what the big fella's doing with the outfit right now.
Second team all OVC as well. The quick pitch and the reception made by Derek Edwards, gang tackle after a pickup of 4 yards. Olo Johnson leading the charge. That'll bring up a 3rd down and 5. Under 8 to play, just underway in Jacksonville. Johnson with time, has a man breaking open. There is late contact, and here comes the flag. That was Gerald Thomas working against Darius Miller. And Forrest, you got to throw the flag there.
Well, you got to, and he definitely got there right before the football. Great job by the receiver hitting the seam, and great job by Johnson putting the football where the receiver could make a play on it.
Pass interference, defense, number 31. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Junior out of Fort Valley, Georgia, the guilty party.
And you see right there, he's got his right hand, he's hooking the shoulder pad of the receiver, not allowing Gerald Thomas to really get his hands up and make a play on the football. Great job by the officials to make that call.
First down all the way inside the 23. And here comes the option. Johnson inside the 15, down at the 13-yard line. Gain of 5 yards after the tackle made by Terrell.
And Nigel Terrell has to make a decision. He can't kind of go with the quarterback. You've either got to go get him or you've got to go out to the pitch man. I thought on that play, if he would have went to get Johnson, he would have forced him to pitch the football.
Second and short. Thomas goes in motion. The slant pattern caught by Edwards. Good enough for the first down. It'll be first and goal for the Bearcats.
And right now Johnson is starting to get some confidence in throwing the football. His last couple of passes have been on point, and that bodes well for the Sam Houston State offense.
Bearcats converting 88% of the time once entering the red zone this season. One of the top offenses in the country. First and goal from the 6. Hill in the backfield. Play action for Johnson. Nowhere to go. Down he goes. The sack by LaMichael Fanning.
And although Johnson's been passing the ball very well, you don't get away from your bread and butter. You see right here the play action. The offensive linemen have got to do a better job of selling the run, but also maintaining your block. If you don't maintain your block as much as Jacksonville State will bring their linebackers, the quarterback will not have time to throw the football.
Loss of 5 yards. Second and goal from just outside the 10. Here's Hill. Dragged down from behind. Nowhere to run. Caleb Lawrence again for us, leading the charge. Very impressive start here for the front four.
And once again, I love the big fella because he lets it all hang out and then he puts it all out on the football field. And that's what you want to see from your interior lineman. At the nose tackle, you have to be able to occupy both A gaps. And you see at 6 foot, 300 pounds, he's wide enough and fast enough to do that.
You see the numbers on third down. The Gamecocks defense has been lights out this year. Big play. The screen. Here's Hill. With a running lane, touchdown Bearcats. A well-designed play call at the exact right time for us. You got to give him a lot of credit. Phil Longo dialing it up.
Well, great play call because they used Jacksonville State's aggressiveness against them. They were rushing the passer, coming after Jared Johnson. The offensive lineman did a good job of holding him up just enough time to allow Hill to get out into the open area, get the football, and have an easy job getting to the end zone.
Keyshawn Hill missed last week's game after going out with a concussion on the first play of the game. Welcome back here in Jacksonville. We are tied at 7 under 6 to play in our first quarter. Let the fireworks begin here in the second round. Was a 10-play, 56-yard scoring drive, culminating with a screen pass to Keyshawn Hill. Forrest, that was his 21st touchdown of the season, averaging over 6.5 yards per carry coming in. Missed last week, as we spoke about. You know he is chomping at the bit to make an impact here tonight.
Well, he definitely is. I watched him last week on the sideline, frustrated because he couldn't help his ball club, but he cheered those guys on. He was in every offensive huddle, talking to the backs, telling them what he saw from the sideline. But what was most impressive about that drive is Jared Johnson's passing. He had some crisp passes. He settled down, and I think that will help this ball club moving forward.
J.D. Williams from his own 2. He's able to work his way back to the 18, so poor field position for the Gamecocks on their third drive. Tackle made by Stephen Williams. An important possession now for JSU after the fast start.
When you look at both touchdown drives, JSU got a big play to get them down and get the score, whereas Sam Houston State worked the ball down the field. So offensively, we still don't know how Jacksonville State will do in this ball game. Will it be able to sustain a drive and get a score, as opposed to just a big play?
Barge in motion on first down, and he'll get the call on the swing pass in the flats. Brilliant move, finally tackled out of bounds after a 9-yard pickup. Trey Orr with the stop. And Barge showing you the X button perhaps on the old Xbox there, didn't he?
Well, you see, once again, Darian Flowers has an opportunity to make a play in the open field, but he's coming out of control. You've got to slow down, break down to make a tackle. Defensive coaches always talk about that. Break down to make the tackle. Don't come flying in there trying to make the big hit.
2nd down and 1. Out of the pistol, play action with Pope. And looking for the tight end. Brummel's got it. And still on his feet. Down he goes the sidelines. Bo Brummel for the touchdown. Make that Spencer Goffigan with the reception, the backup tight end. But pick your poison there for the jumbo athletes. Goffigan getting the job done, the redshirt senior out of Myrtle Beach.
And you got to make the tackle, or you got to get him out of bounds. You cannot assume he's going to step out of bounds. First of all, Eric Abarosi is not paying attention, not looking back for the football. Then you've got to make sure he steps out of bounds, and he does not step out of bounds. And although he's the second-team tight end, he's second-team all-conference, averaging over 17 yards a catch. So he's able, and you saw what he was able to do on that play.
A 73-yard scoring strike. Came close to stepping out of bounds, but I believe he stayed in.
I don't think he stepped out. I think that heel was up, and I think he got the score. The officials agree.
And the extra point is up. It is good. Just like that, the Gamecocks strike yet again. Under 5 minutes to play in our first quarter. Spencer Goffigan from 73 yards out, tap dancing his way down the sideline.
A quarter of an inch and he would be out. But you've got to play through the play. You've got to make sure the offensive player is down. You got to make sure they're out of bounds. And I said before this drive, I wasn't sure about Jacksonville State's offensive ability because of the big play in that first touchdown drive. But if they keep making big plays like this, they don't have to have sustained drives.
First touchdown of the season for the redshirt senior. You have a weapon like that for us. Coming off of your bench. It's a real luxury. They got a couple of jumbo athletes.
And I made a mistake. I called them second-team all-conference. It's Bo Brummel that's second-team all-conference. But still a great play to get to the end zone. You saw great speed, something you don't see often with tight ends. They're usually glorified offensive linemen. So for him to get to the edge and then get down the field the way he did and outrun those defensive backs, that was a great play.
Panarulo back on the field. Thomas brought down from behind at the 29.
It's a dreaded disease. I tell people all the time, it affects everyone. I don't care if you're rich, you're poor, you're black, you're white, you're Christian, you're Jewish. It doesn't matter. It'll bring you to your knees. And the only way we will ever beat that disease is by getting dollars in the hands of the right people. And that is what Jim Valvano is about.
Jimmy V Week across the family of networks. Such an inspiration to so many. First down handoff to Hill. Dragging defenders after a 12-yard gain. That'll be a first down for Sam Houston State after the tackle made by Johnson, the free safety. Hill with the carry. And the Bearcats will pick up 5 on first down. Neal with a stop. 2nd and 5 coming up.
And you see Hill's ability to get to the outside as well as make yards after contact.
Left side for Hill. Johnson drags him down. After a pickup of 2, it'll be 3rd down and 3. Hill 6 carries, 32 yards on the ground. Also had the touchdown on the screen pass moments ago. Johnson on the quarterback keeper. Nowhere to run, brought down after a 1-yard pickup. It'll be 4th and 2.
And right now, Jacksonville State is doing a very good job of holding down at the point of attack in the middle of that defensive and offensive line. Their defensive line, they're being very stout and not allowing the offensive line, the interior offensive line, to get any movement from Sam Houston State.
Brad Donovan back on to punt this one away for the 2nd time this afternoon. And tried to execute a rugby style kick, instead sends one deep into Gamecocks territory for the touchback. And a late collision near the 5-yard line as Josh Barge pleading his case to our Missouri Valley Football Conference officiating crew.
Well, Barge needs to be careful because he just threw a punch. And if the officials see that, he can put himself in a position to be disqualified from this ball game. You've got to control your emotions. They need you on the field, Barge, not in the locker room. .309 remaining in our first quarter. Another chance to see the Gamecocks offensively enforce in the early going. JSU with 164 total yards and 2 touchdowns already on the board. Well, it's been the big plays. You saw the big play over the top to Barge. Then you saw the tight end break a tackle. Poor tackling by Sam Houston State on what should have been probably a 12 to 13-yard gain, and it turns into a 73-yard touchdown.
From the 20, the deep handoff. That's Pope. He'll lose a yard as Tyrell Stokes makes the tackle for loss. Second down and 12, a 5-man front. Here comes the delayed blitz, and across the middle, a catch is not made. For a moment, it looked as if Ruben Gonzalez brought it down, but lost control of it late.
And that was a great job by Tyrell Stokes to get there late and affect his ability to bring that ball in. Gonzalez had his hands on the football, but Stokes came across late in this play to disrupt him gaining full control of the football. Watch Stokes. He breaks on the football, and I think just his presence alone did not allow Gonzalez to get control of that football.
Boy, that was close. A bang-bang play. It looked like the ground may have forced the ball to release out of his hands at the last second.
But you have to finish the motion of catching the football.
3rd down and long. Here comes pressure by P.J. Hall. A couple of flags on the field. This one's likely coming back as a pass is caught by J.D. Williams for the first down. The stop made by Desmond Fite. But you saw it just as well as everybody else in the stadium.
Oh, yeah, he grabbed P.J. Hall and held him, and they're out there arguing about it.
Number 58 on the offense. The penalty will be half the distance from the previous spot. Replay, 3rd down.
Nick Johnson, a reserve tackle.
Easy call. Easy call, and you see the quickness of P.J. Hall. He can make a quick move to the inside. You see him to the outside. The offensive lineman turned his shoulders, and I talked about that early. You cannot open up and give them a short corner. When you give P.J. Hall a short corner, he's going to get around the edge every time. You've got to keep your shoulders square to the line of scrimmage. You've got to get at least 3 kicks back. Then you can turn and run the defensive lineman past the quarterback because you've now established the width of the pocket.
Entertaining first quarter, nearly in the books. 7-point advantage for the Gamecocks. 3rd down and 21. And Jenkins gets rid of it late. And here comes a late flag looking for Josh Barge. Trey Orr in coverage. And that'll be a free first down on 3rd down and a country mile for us. You can't make that kind of mistake if you're Sam Houston State.
You cannot do that, especially when you've got P.J. Hall now bringing pressure from the outside. He almost got there again on that play. I'm wondering if they're going to say if this ball was uncatchable. The ball was high and out of bounds.
Pass interference, defense, number 7. The ball would be placed at the spot of the foul with an automatic first down.
Casey Keeler can't believe it.
Well, I would say illegal contact, but I wouldn't say pass interference, because watch this football. This ball is uncatchable. The ball is extremely high and thrown way out of bounds. I think you can say, you know, he touched him illegally past the 5-yard zone, but I wouldn't call that pass interference.
That's coming from a former offensive player, too.
Well, I call it like I see it, Roy. Now,
Sure you do.
I favor the offense, but I call it like I see it.
1st and 10 from the 12-yard line. And a jumbo look for the first time from the Gamecocks. Jenkins in the flat has Merrill. And fortunate to get back to the line of scrimmage as Mikel Everett makes the tackle.
And one thing Sam Houston is very comfortable with is Mikel Everett and Trey Orr playing man coverage on the outside and stacking that box. So we'll see if this game progresses, if those guys can do well out there on the island.
90 seconds remaining in our first quarter. On 2nd down, Tremaine Pope with a highlight reel type of run. Needed 9. They'll give him 20, and the drive continues for Jacksonville State. Where did that one come from?
I'll tell you what, that's a Sports Center top 10 candidate. When you look at what he was able to do in the middle of that run, getting airborne and continuing to get yards after the jump.
And feed Pope once again, this time not as much daylight. Shoved out of bounds after the initial stop by Stokes.
Well, that was extreme athletic ability, and too often we see defenders go for the legs and they close their eyes. You've got to go through the offensive player. Make sure you get a hold of those guys to bring them down. You can't just dive at their legs.
They'll stay in the double tight end package. And the handoff, Pope goes nowhere.
And P.J. Hall once again with inside penetration.
Mufadebo in also on the stop, the senior from Mansfield, Texas. It's Bearcats defense, the story last week in the win against Southeastern. P.J. Hall blocked a kick late. He limited the Lions to just 17 points. So far being tested by JSU. Trying to set up the screen. Batted in the air and picked off. Picked off by the Bearcats as Shea all the way down to the 21-yard line. You want to talk about athleticism.
Great play by Shea, and it started with the pressure. Eli Jenkins did not have time to set his feet. It was a screen pass. You want to allow the defenders to get in on him, but if you watch Shea,
field is an interception returned by Sam Houston State. 1st and 10.
Taps the ball up. He pushes the running back Tremaine Pope out the way so he can make the catch, and then he gets yards going towards the end zone. Great play by Shea.
Anything you can do, I can do better. After the sensational run by Pope, as Shea comes up with a turnover on the old tip drill. And a golden opportunity for Sam Houston State. A deep handoff will lose to as Donovan Williams runs out of real estate. The tackle made by Carlisle. An entertaining first quarter in the books. Jacksonville State a 7-point lead here inside of JSU Stadium. (14-7) our score. Start of the second quarter back in Jacksonville, Alabama. Big plays, the story of our first quarter. Forrest Connolly, Roy Philpott here with you. 260 yards of total offense between these two teams. Kind of what we expected coming in. Both teams averaging over 35 points per game. Early edge to the Gamecocks, but second down and 12 for the Bearcats. And Keyshawn Hill around the far side. Gain of 6 yards with a stop made by Saran Neal. Another important third down coming up for the Bearcats as Johnson goes back in the shotgun. Gamecocks in zone pressure. Johnson with a crease and a first down inside the 10. It'll be first and goal for Sam Houston State. And there's that athleticism on display yet again.
Well, what Sam Houston State is doing is they're going 4 wides. And how Jacksonville State is countering that, they're using Ben Indris as a spy to spy Johnson and make sure he's not able to get open. But Johnson, with the speed, was able to get the first down.
That's 48 in red. Here's Johnson, far side. The easy touchdown. Well, you won't find many easier touchdown runs than that right there. He fooled everybody in the stadium.
And Chris Landrum got caught peeking inside the backfield. He came down hard, which gave Johnson an easy corner to get around and get the easy score. Great read by Johnson. When the defensive end crashes down like that, keep the football on that read option and get around the edge.
A 4-play, 22-yard scoring drive. And with 14-11 remaining in our first half, we are tied at 14. Entertaining second-round matchup between two old rivals. Casey Keeler has got to be pleased. Well, a great atmosphere back in Jacksonville. We are tied at 14. Second round action in the 2014 FCS playoffs with Forrest Connolly, Roy Philpott. How about some love for Tristan Ashe with what he did, his first interception, second leading tackler, but first pickoff of the season for the junior from Waco, Texas. An outstanding play on the tip drill for us.
Well, I'll tell you what, not only did he tip the football, he had the consciousness to push the receiver out the way, then get his concentration back on the football to make the INT. So he did 3 things that were great. He tipped the football, he pushed the receiver out the way, then he made the pick. So that was a triple threat on that play. I love the play by their defense because they needed that right there. They needed that injection of energy, because I think offensively they had started to kind of take a step backwards with what JSU had been doing defensively. And we've had a tale of 2 quarters. The first quarter, it was bright and sunny out here. Now the clouds will come over. It's cold, it's windy. And let's see how this wind affects the passing game that helped Jacksonville State jump to an early lead in this ballgame.
If you talk to quarterbacks, they always tell you it's not necessarily the rain that bothers them. It's the wind, and you really have to have the arm strength to be able to throw a football into the teeth of the wind. So we'll see if that becomes a factor as we go through. Remember, the winner of this one advances to play the winner of Liberty and Villanova next week in the quarterfinals. The loser, well, their season is done. Brad Donovan back on the field to kick this one away. With J.D. Williams and Tremaine Pope back deep to receive. Pope from his own 12. Has an opening. Across the 30 out to the 36-yard line. It'll be first and 10 for the Gamecocks. That last drive, 4 plays, 22 yards after the interception by Ashe.
And you see Barge make the great move on the outside. He breaks tackles. You see right here, great job. Once again, Abaroshi does not turn around and locate the football. And the tight end gets down the field and he shows you that speed, gets to the end zone. Great play for Jacksonville State University.
First touchdown of the season for Goffigan on first down. Handoff to DeMarcus James. As he twists his way ahead, a pickup of 5 yards, a tackle made by Steve York. Jacksonville State for us, 5th in the country in rushing coming in, averaging over 287 yards on the ground per game. More daylight for James as he rolls his way ahead to midfield, and that'll be a first down.
What was impressive about that run is his stop and go ability, his change of direction. As a big fella, 5'9", 220 pounds, his ability to stop and go and then accelerate is exceptional.
Gamecocks, the number 3 national seed. James with a path, crosses the 30, finally shoved out of bounds by Michael Wade. A gain of 24 yards, and the drive continues for the Gamecocks, and James is having a fast start today.
Well, Jacksonville State is getting back to their identity. You see they pull their offensive lineman around, open up a big hole. Great job by the offensive tackle and the offensive guard clearing the way for James to get down the field. We had a decleater, a helmet came flying off. Great job by the offensive lineman.
Double tight end formation again for the Gamecocks. You see the rushing yards. It's been a game of big plays thus far. Out in the flats, here's Barge. Tackle made by Orr. After a 4, call it a 5-yard pickup on first down. Now, Orr was injured late last week against Southeastern Louisiana, so that's got to be encouraging for the Bearcats. And a fumble on the exchange. Gamecocks fortunate as Jenkins falls on top of it. He'll lose a couple of yards. It'll bring up 3rd down and long.
And I think Jenkins left the ball in the breadbasket just a tad bit too long on that play. He was kind of indecisive if he wanted to give the ball to DeMarcus James or keep it himself.
John Gross in his first season after a very successful stint in the high school ranks. He called plays here as an offensive coordinator a year ago. Far side, James has another first down. You got to love the patience of DeMarcus James, allowing that play to develop in front of him. Then he plants, cuts, and he's gone.
Well, that play was made by Justin Lee, the left tackle. He sealed the defensive end, which allowed James to get to the outside. Too often we overlook these offensive linemen and the plays that they make. Great job by Justin Lee.
And the spin move behind the line of scrimmage goes nowhere. Sione Latu leading the charge, as well as Jacoby Hunter.
In this drive, we've seen Jacksonville State get back to their identity, running the football, ground and pound, being very effective.
Stay in the double tight end set. Jenkins fakes the handoff. Jenkins to the end zone. Touchdown, Gamecocks. And the 6th touchdown of the season for the redshirt sophomore from Birmingham.
And because they've been able to get to the outside so much, Jenkins finds a crease, and Michael Wade has an opportunity to make a tackle, but Jenkins, with his running back ability at the quarterback position, is able to break that tackle and get to the end zone.
Jacksonville State already with nearly 250 yards of total offense. Bulk of the damage has been through the air, but all of a sudden the ground game starting to get going as well. And the extra point is blocked. P.J. Hall yet again gets his big paws on it. And his 2nd block kick in as many weeks. There is a flag on the field, so don't go anywhere just yet.
I think it's holding.
Holding. Number 59 of the kicking team. The penalty will be declined. The point is no good. Timeout.
Our new score with 11-12 remaining in our first half. The Jacksonville State Gamecocks hold a 6-point advantage. Back in Jacksonville, the Gamecocks with a 20-14 advantage over Sam Houston State. And a reminder, the 2014 NCAA Division I football championship will continue next weekend with third-round coverage on December 13th. All games will be available on the Watch ESPN app and ESPN3.com. For more information, go to NCAA.com, the official online home for all 89 NCAA championships. Thomas back deep to receive this JSU kickoff, and he'll take it from inside his own 2. Far side with running room, crossing the 25, and finally brought down at the 35-yard line after a 33-yard return. Now the Bearcats in search of some more offense, now trailing by 6. But the defense has been a big-time story. Only turnover the game so far there by O'Shea.
Well, Shea did a great job locating the football, getting it up in the air, pushing the receiver out, making the interception. And you see here, Johnson with his legs able to get the first down. And right here, Landrum crashes down, and Johnson does a great job of keeping the football, getting to the outside and getting the easy score.
Well, if you're defensive coordinator David Blackwell for the Gamecocks, you got to find a way to tell your ends to play contain a little bit better. Otherwise, Johnson's going to burn them all day long. On first down, the handoff to Hill, a gain of 3. The tackle made by Terrell.
And what's interesting about David Blackwell, the defensive coordinator, he was the defensive coordinator for Fordham a couple of years ago where Coach Keeler was calling those games. So he went back to some old film to see if he could pick up on some defense nuances of Coach Blackwell. So it'll be interesting how that plays out.
Dangerous pass intended for Gerald Thomas. And Johnson's got to be a little bit more accurate with that one. Otherwise, he's going to get his wide receiver drilled out there.
Yeah, Jalen Hill came up with bad intentions on that play. And if I'm a receiver, I'm signaling in to Johnson, hey, man, you know, put the ball down. Don't put me in harm's way.
Sam Houston State 3 out of 5 on third down so far. A late substitution as Harrison trots onto the playing field. Pass caught by Edwards, wide open that time for us, and he's now into Jacksonville State territory. He needed 8 yards. He'll pick up 13, and the drive continues.
And when Jared Johnson sets his feet, he's able to deliver very good passes. The key for him is being calm and setting his feet when he goes back to pass the football. When he does that, he's able to throw precision passes.
Johnson was hurt during spring practice, really didn't get the reps that the staff wanted him to receive. It slowed down his development this season. Here's our first look at Ladarius Brown, the transfer from Texas Christian. Close to first down yardage. He'll be about 2 short. Well, it's second down and 3 as Keyshawn Hill in the middle of the pile. Close to the chain. Let's see if they'll give him the spot. Tackle made by Greg Clark, backup defensive tackle. It looks like he's a couple of inches short.
And they've got a good mix of pass and run on this drive.
Under 10 minutes to play in our first half. Third down and inches. Keyshawn Hill straight ahead. He's got the first down. Michael Fanning, the first team all OVC defensive end, drags him down, but not in time.
And they're getting man coverage on the outside with Big Puma, Ladarius Brown versus Debarius Miller, number 31, who's 5'10". So when you look at Ladarius Brown, he's got about 6 inches on him. I think they're going to try and exploit that later on in this ball game.
First and 10, the pitch and catch. There's Yeti Lewis with the reception all the way inside the 20-yard line, a gain of 16. Boy, Johnson showed you the arm strength on that catch, or that pass rather. It looks like Lewis is banged up. Boy, Forrest, he took a big-time hit after making the catch.
Took a very big-time hit, but he held on to the football, and that's the one thing they love about Yedidiah Lewis. He's fearless going across the middle. He's not the biggest of gentlemen at 5'8", 185 pounds, but he's a fearless receiver going across the middle. You also have seen the arm strength of Jared Johnson. You talked about him missing spring because of an injury. The coaching staff went through and they saw that he only threw 213 passes coming into this fall. So they worked with him. Coach Keeler talked about standing in the backfield and critiquing every part of his throwing motion. And you see him doing a better job with precision passing.
Just a freshman from the Lone Star State. He's paced the Bearcats with 57 grabs before this one.
And his body was up in the air. And when you've got contact coming that hard, it looks like he took a shot to the hip.
So after the gain of 16 yards, 1st and 10, just inside the 20. Donovan Williams in the backfield now for the Bearcats. Johnson with time, now flush. Sends it out of bounds.
And I'll tell you what, that actually was a great job by Johnson. He didn't take the sack. He didn't try and force the football. He threw the ball out of bounds. And sometimes when coaches talk to players, if the play is not going through the way it's designed, throw the football away. Live to play another play. Don't try and make a play when it's not there.
Johnson's been good and bad at that at times this year. Just his sophomore campaign over in Huntsville, Texas. 15 touchdowns, 11 interceptions coming into this one. On 2nd and 10 towards the end zone, and the pass is caught for the touchdown. There he is, Ladarius Brown.
And I called it. I told you they had him in man coverage on the outside against a much shorter Debarius Miller. He's got 6 inches on him. As long as they continue to play him in man coverage out there, he's got a big body. He can separate from defenders, and he knows how to high point the football. And that was a great pass by Jared Johnson. Great recognition by the offensive coaching staff to see that they had man coverage on the outside with Big Puma.
6'4" versus 5'10", advantage Sam Houston State as Jared Johnson catches in from 19 yards out. And the Bearcats out in front with 8:36 remaining in our first half. Our new score 21-20. Get your popcorn ready, folks. This is going to be a great one. Jacksonville, and of course it is Jimmy V week, and we want you to help us beat cancer. The V Foundation awards 100% of direct donations and net proceeds of events to fund cancer research. Simply log on to jimmyv.org or call 1-800-4-JIMMY-V to donate today. With Forrest Connolly, former Florida State offensive lineman Roy Philpott, back and forth we go here in Jacksonville. And Sam Houston State out to the 1-point lead after the 19-yard scoring strike from Jared Johnson to Ladarius Brown, the transfer from TCU. And Brad Donovan back on the field to punt this one away, or kick this one away rather. Donovan, the backup punter, forced into duty at the end of this season. And J.D. Williams returns it back to the 30-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Gamecocks. We want to talk about matchups. 6'4" versus 5'10", advantage Bearcats all day long if this continues for us.
Well, definitely advantage all day long, but what's unique about Ladarius Brown is his ability to get off the line of scrimmage, being such a big fella. And you see right here, he beats the defensive back, Debarius Miller. It's an easy score. He didn't even really have to high point the football. He just runs under the football. He's fast, he's big, and he uses his body very well.
Jenkins out of the pistol, the deep handoff to DeMarcus James. Keeps the play alive and finally dragged down right at the line of scrimmage. Mufa Debo leading the way for the Bearcats defense. And right now, for us, it feels like Sam Houston State has momentum in this game. A defensive stop here would be huge.
It would be very huge, and I think that mixed extra point will be even bigger because now you force the Jacksonville State Ball Club in the back of their minds to think about having to go for 2 at some point in time in this ball game.
The dreaded miss PAT. Jenkins, the read option. Bulldozes his way ahead, short of the first down. It'll bring up 3rd down and 1. The stop made by Mufa Debo again. And a couple of Bearcats remain on the turf.
injured players.
Stokes appears to be okay. That's the good news. The bad news is at least one more player banged up.
And it looks like that may be Mufadebo.
There was a late hit by one of his own players. His teammates.
Looks like he got the helmet to the hip. Maybe a slight hip pointer or something. We hope Adebo will be able to come back into the ballgame. He's walking off under his own strength. Looks like he'll probably be out for a play or two and he'll be back in the ballgame. But that was a great job by Adebo reacting, because Jenkins had gotten around the edge, and if he doesn't react and get over there to make that tackle, Jenkins may still be running the football.
Gamecocks 1 out of 3 on 3rd down, and James will pick up the first here. With some hard-nosed running as he plunges ahead towards the 44. Needed 1, he picked up 5. And the other interesting component here for us is first time that JSU was trailed in the second quarter since way back in week 5 in a win against Murray State. So this team is used to playing from ahead the last 2 months of this season.
And when you talk about playing from ahead, they haven't trailed during their 10-game win streak in the entire second half of any of those ball games.
Jenkins, pocket collapsing. The walls come down, and down he goes. A loss of 6 yards on first down.
And that play was made by A.J. Davis. A.J. Davis got to the outside and covered DeMarcus James. That's where Jenkins wanted to go at the football, but Davis made a smart play, covered the back out of the backfield, not giving Jenkins anywhere to go at the football.
First sack of the game for the Bearcats. 2nd and 16, under 7 to play in our first half. And they'll show pressure. Jenkins through the first level. And he'll get that sack yardage back plus some after the tackle made by Wade. 3rd down and a manageable 6 coming up for the Gamecocks.
And I tell you what, if Wade doesn't make that tackle, Jenkins has a lot of open field in front of him. They've got to be careful in the middle of this defense.
And Jacksonville State will go tempo before they get the play call again from the sideline. Miles Jones in the backfield. Jenkins with time. Heaves one deep down the field for Johnson, and it's caught. Anthony Johnson, his first reception of the ball game, and a big one at that.
And once again, the defensive backs from Sam Houston State do not turn around and locate the football. Mikael Everett never turned around. This could have easily been called a pass interference because he ran through the receiver before the ball got there.
Gain of 29 yards. Here's Jones near side. Make that Pope with the carry, and A.J. Davis with a tackle. Let's pick your poison in this Gamecocks backfield. It's DeMarcus James, then it's Miles Jones. And then they have the luxury of bringing in Tremaine Pope. We've already seen what he can do today. He'll flank Jenkins here and get the handoff. Davis with a tackle right at the line of scrimmage. No gain on the play. 3rd down and 8 coming up.
Well, we saw Tremaine Pope play Edwin Moses when he had the football, jumping over defenders. James, he's going to run over you, and Miles Jones will just outrun you.
Gamecocks 3 out of 5 on 3rd down so far. And a timeout's going to be called by Sam Houston State. Casey Keeler seeing something he didn't want to see.
That's their first. It will run 30 seconds.
And he'll have 2 remaining with under 5 to play in our second quarter.
And I think it's a smart timeout. I saw the defensive players with their hands on their hips a little bit. They're gassed right now. I think you let these guys regroup with this timeout. You get a good play called up, and you try and get a stop and force Jacksonville State to go for a field goal. You also will now give yourselves time, if you're able to get them to go for the field goal, to get the ball back with enough time to try and put another score on the board before the half, because you and Sam Houston get the ball coming out in the second half. So if you can get another score on the football, on the scoreboard, and get the ball coming out in the second half, now you're playing into what you want to do, and you have control of the ball game.
Well, let's put it this way. We don't get the sense that 21 points is going to win this one right now, do we?
No, not at all.
maybe one of those games where the team that's got the football last has the best opportunity.
But then, too, if you force them into a field goal attempt with the wind, that may affect as well. So that's a big play right here on third down.
Yeah, it is. Wind has died down just a little bit, approaching halftime. And now Jacksonville State will call a timeout.
Jacksonville State. That's
John Gross in his first season. Well, what a story he has to tell. 2 years ago, coaching the high school ranks, very successful here in Alabama. A year ago, he becomes the offensive coordinator here at Jacksonville State. Then Bill Clark leaves here to go to UAB. He takes over, and in his first season, they're 10-1, and they've won 10 straight ball games.
Well, high school coaches becoming head football coaches in college programs in the state of Alabama have done very well. You think Gus Malzahn. You know, now you look at what, you know, Coach is doing here with this Jacksonville State ball club, Coach Gross. So I think when you start to look at coaches for your programs, you have to look more so to coaches that want to develop players, want to go through the process like Coach Gross talked to us about. That is what makes and builds programs into champions.
Now Gus Malzahn is one of those coaches. Chad Morris, former Clemson OC, now the head coach at SMU. Several years removed from the high school ranks. John Gross, just the latest. On third down, here's Jenkins. Across the middle, and it's incomplete. Michael Wade in coverage. Bats it down away from Dalton Screws. And Screws looking for the flag. He will not get one.
That was a great play by Wade not to use that backhand and turn the offensive player. Let's see if he was able to reach around him without using that offhand. You can't really tell from that angle, but the officials didn't see it or deem it to be an illegal use of hands. So great job by Michael Wade on that play.
Connor Rulo, 9 of 15 in field goals this season with a long of 48. This one from 37 on the right hash. Kick is up, and it is good. So the Gamecocks back out in front, 23-21, approaching 4.5 minutes to play in our second quarter. The 10th field goal converted by Connor Rulo. And a chance now for Sam Houston State for us, as you mentioned, close out this first half with points on the board. They received the football in the second half. Every drive in this game so critical. Second round of the FCS playoffs, survive and advance. It's win or go home. But Casey Keeler knows he's got a chance here. Close his first half strong and maybe take a lead into the locker room.
And I'll tell you what will that do psychologically to this Jacksonville State ball club? They haven't been behind in their last 10 ball games at the half or going into the second half or in the second half for that matter. So if you're Sam Houston State and you can get some points on the board, even if it's just a field goal and you've got a 1-point lead, you've done something different than has happened in the last 10+ ball games for Jacksonville State to go into the halftime and talk about it.
Casey Keeler back in coaching after a brief hiatus. He said his wife told him, hey, you need to get back in the game. We want you to be back there.
Well, he talked about, you know, calling a game, being an analyst, and then after the game, watching the coach celebrate and go through that press conference and getting that feeling like, hey, I want to do that again. But he also talked about the coach that lost and having to explain how he lost as an FBS coach to an FCS program. And he said, that part I don't miss, but I do want to get back into coaching, and this is where my love and my passion is. And he's followed his passion and done a great job for the Sam Houston State ball club.
I told him in our call this week, it's the first time I've ever heard of a coach's wife urging her husband to get back on the field as a coach. Incredible time demands. Here's Thomas, shoved down to the 20-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 for Sam Houston State. And some extracurricular activities.
And, you know, he talked about also when he talked to his kids, when he's coaching in December, you know, he's cool and he's happy. When he's not coaching in December, he's miserable, and everybody around him is miserable for the holidays. So
it's kind of like us as broadcasters, right?
So he had a great Thanksgiving.
Energized head coach, a lot of fun to talk with, and certainly going to be very successful long-term over in Huntsville. Big drive here, 1st and 10 from the 21 for Sam Houston State. And Jared Johnson now back on the field after a strong start. Jalen Overstreet, the Texas transfer, in the backfield. And the first down run will lose a yard and a late flag on the field.
Personal foul, face mask, number 92 on the defense. 15 yards from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Devontae Sigler, the first team all OVC performer, made the tackle for us, but did so in an illegal fashion.
Well, what they're doing, they're going 5 wides. They're shifting their back to the backfield. They're trying to stretch out this Jacksonville State defense and then trying to attack the middle of the defense with either the zone read, handing the ball off to the back, or the quarterback keeper.
Bearcats with 162 yards of total offense so far. Evenly distributed between the ground game and through the air. Overstreet, tackle from behind at the line, no gain on the play. Michael Carlisle with the hit. Jacksonville State wants you get you to 3rd down and long, and when they get you there, they're the best in the country at preventing the first down. It's 2nd and long here. Straight ahead is Johnson. There's Carlisle once again. So 2 old friends meeting in the pocket and nothing doing.
Well, the defensive line is being very stout in the middle, and that's all due to Caleb Lawrence, Devontae Sigler, and LaMichael Fanning. They're not being pushed back. And when you're not being pushed back, you leave lanes for the linebackers like Michael Carlisle to run through and make those tackles in the backfield.
Sam Houston State 5 out of 7 on 3rd down, so they've had the advantage so far. They've got to gain 11 here. Johnson with time, looking downfield. Pass is caught by Brown. He needed 11. He'll get 13, and the drive continues for Sam Houston State.
And that's a great job by Brown, knowing where the sticks were and getting past the sticks before he turned around to catch that ball on the comeback route.
Bearcats go tempo, swing pass out in the flats. That's Stephen Williams, his first reception. A late flag on the field as a stop made by Miller. And I'm not sure Jacksonville State was able to get that last defender off the field in time.
Yeah, I think they've got illegal participation.
Now, the pace we've seen the Bearcats operate at so far today reminds you of a Baylor, an Oregon, and Auburn at times.
And both ball clubs have been going with this fast-paced offense, trying to tire out the defense.
After Casey Keeler, do you take the penalty and get the down back?
Illegal substitution. The 12th man did not get off before the snap. 5 yards from the previous spot. Remains first down.
So we'll get the down to do over. Greg Sujak, our Missouri Valley Football Conference official, with a call. Make it first down and 5. Now, if you're Phil Longo, you can dial up just about whatever you want. If you're John Gross, you're trying to figure out what your defense can do here. Williams in the backfield. Johnson with time, and he'll go deep. Looking for Brown, and he sends it out of bounds. Miller in coverage again, trying to exploit that height advantage.
I think Johnson predetermined where he wanted to go with the football on that play. But if he looks to the other side of the field, Derek Edwards had his defender beat on a double move.
When you look out on the field, you've got a transfer from TCU on one side, a transfer from Texas Tech on the other. Johnson will call his own number with daylight. And off to the races. Inside the 20, and finally shoved out of bounds by Folo Johnson.
And that was a great job by Johnson to take a step back. He saw the seam, he got through it. And the interesting thing about watching Johnson run, he has such a long stride. It looks like he's jogging, but you never see defenders catching up to him.
Gain of 27 yards. 1st and 10 from the 19. Here's Donovan Williams. Rode down by Johnson. Close to first down yardage. He'll be a yard short. It'll be 2nd down and 1 yard to go. Numbers much more impressive so far for Johnson today compared to a week ago against Southeastern Louisiana.
Very efficient.
Johnson pressure to throw that one away. A little too cute with the play call, perhaps. Carlisle applies the late pressure for the Gamecocks.
And if you watch the splits on that play, the offensive linemen were spread out almost like they were receivers. And you see him try to step in almost like a jump pass play, but he didn't have time, so he had to get rid of the football. That was a strange play. I've never seen linemen split out that wide.
Third down and short. Williams stopped behind the line of scrimmage. Ben Endress, first time we've called his name this afternoon. The second team All-OVC performer anchoring the middle of this Gamecock defense.
Conservative, conservative, conservative. I don't like the play call. I think you should have tried to get to the outside. They haven't had a whole lot of success in the middle. They had a nice play with Johnson on that drive, running the quarterback draw, but I don't think you've had enough success in the middle to try and get that first down on that play.
Exchanging touchdowns in the early going, now potentially exchanging field goals, and a chance for the Bearcats to go back out in front. A 29-yard attempt for Swinberga on the way, and it's good. And it was just good. Sneaks it just inside the right upright. And the Bearcats back out in front 24-23. Here's the problem. You still have 1:24 left on the clock. That's more than enough time for Jacksonville State.
Well, right now, if you're Jacksonville State, you want to try and put some points on the board, but you have to be careful, because you've got a very opportunistic defense in Sam Houston State that'll look to get the turnover and try and put more points on the board before the half. And you have to also remember that Sam Houston State gets the ball back in the second half. So you don't want to give them any easy scores with 1:24 left, trying to get some more scores on the board for yourself.
Outstanding season for Luke Swinberga, now 15 of 17 in the field goal department. And for us, when you can trust your place kicker, gives you so much more confidence as a play caller, especially late in games. You know he's probably going to convert. And with Luke Swinberga, that's exactly what they've got this year in Huntsville. Brad Donovan back on to kick this one away. Williams and Pope back deep to receive for the Gamecocks. Entertaining first half. Pretty much what we expected. Higher scoring, back and forth action. Both offenses very explosive.
A lot of energy.
A lot of people in this state probably looking forward to tonight. Alabama and Missouri over in Atlanta in the SEC Championship.
I tell you what, everybody's just giving Alabama a bye in that game. I know Alabama's good. They're not the Alabama of old. In Missouri, one thing they can do is play very good defense. So I think if Missouri takes it as a chip on the shoulder, they can make it a ball game. I'm not saying they're going to win the game, but I think they can make it an interesting ball game, because Sims doesn't play as well when he's not at home.
Action also heating up here in the second round of the FCS playoffs. We'll get you caught up to date on those scores as they come in. Coming up later on in our second half, as J.D. Williams fields this one on the fly. Crosses the 30 and brought down there. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Gamecocks. So a chance to go 70 yards in just over 1 minute and 15 seconds. A couple of timeouts to work with. To your point, Forrest, how aggressive do you get here if you're John Gross, who calls the plays for JSU?
I think the first couple of plays you go conservative. You don't want to try and get it all at once. And if any of those plays you can break for some big yards, then you look to try and get it to the end zone for a score, or get it in field goal range for your kicker to try and put one on the board before you go to the half.
Connor Rulo, his longest field goal of the season, 48 yards. So you'd have to get all the way down to the 31 to give him a realistic chance. Looking for Johnson. Everett in coverage. The pass is incomplete.
One thing I think the defensive backs coach is going to have to talk to his defensive players about at halftime is turning around and locating the football. They're playing the receiver and they're never turning around. These Sam Houston State defenders, they've got to do a better job of locating the football.
Hand off to James. And James, a little stutter step. Crosses the 45. P.J. Hall with the tackle. Michael Wade in as well. That'll be good enough for a first down for the Gamecocks.
He's got a little bit of Jerome Bettis in him. A big fella that can stop and go and accelerate.
A gain of 16 yards. And with time winding down, got to give both teams the chance to substitute. And now the timeout called by Sam Houston State.
Charge timeout. Sam Houston State. That's their second.
They're trying to get their substitute on the field in time, and Casey Keeler says, wait a second, fellas.
But did you hear the crowd urging Jenkins to snap the ball to get the easy yards, to get the free play? You got to take advantage of those situations.
Well, the winner of this game will battle the winner of Villanova and Liberty. Jacksonville State, of course, the 3 seed. If they find a way to win this one, they should be hosting next week. Sam Houston State's able to pull off the road win. And a very complicated process ensues depending on what happens in the other game. But obviously both teams just want to be playing football this time a week from now.
I don't think anybody cares where they play. They just want to be playing. Of course, if you're Jacksonville State, you want to continue to host games here at home, something they've earned with that record, those 10 straight wins, the undefeated conference season. But if you're Sam Houston State, you don't care. You just want to keep playing.
Beautiful facility here in Jacksonville at JSU Stadium. An outstanding home field advantage. From the 46-yard line on first down. Jenkins flush from the pocket. Sidearm delivery looking for Johnson. Everett in coverage. And a well-defended play. A late flag will be holding against JSU.
P.J. Hall once again from the outside. When he knows it's a passing play, he's going to be hard to stop.
Holding number 69 on the offense. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Replay.
One of your impact players to watch, Justin Lee, so far advantage P.J. Hall.
Well, watch, he opens up that outside shoulder too early, giving P.J. See, he turns and opens it up immediately, giving P.J. Hall a short corner. You've got to keep those shoulders square to the line of scrimmage. Get 3 kicks back, then you can turn and run a defender because you're at the quarterback's level and you're running them past the quarterback.
First down and 20. Miles Jones to midfield, and he'll get the penalty yardage back +5. It'll bring up second down and 5.
And on that play, they used P.J. Hall's speed against him. He came flying up the field, and the back ran right by him.
Gain of 14, officially second and 6. Jenkins with time. Johnson makes the catch. And shoved out of bounds finally. Everett in coverage. And the drive continues for JSU.
And this first half has been full of yards after contact, yards after the catch. These receivers are doing a great job of making moves after they get the ball and get possession of it.
Gain of 18 on second and 5. And a timeout called again by Sam Houston State with just 18 seconds remaining. So a critical 18 seconds left for Casey Keeler and for Jacksonville State. They haven't trailed since week 1. A loss at number 8 Michigan State. So they're trying to get momentum before halftime. And Forrest, you mentioned it earlier. Sam Houston State gets the football to open things in the second half.
Well, if I'm Coach Keeler, I'm telling my defensive backs to bump these receivers off the line of scrimmage, disrupt their routes, because if you do that, you give the defensive line an extra second or two to get pressure on the quarterback, because a lot of these passes during this drive, P.J. Hall has been right there almost at the quarterback Jenkins' arm to knock that ball out of his hands. So you've got to be disruptive in the pass routes of Jacksonville State University. Bump those guys off the line of scrimmage. I think if you're able to do that with Sam Houston State's defensive backs, you give guys like P.J. Hall and Mufa Debo an opportunity to get to the quarterback.
Hall has had himself a tremendous run this season, just a redshirt freshman. 18 seconds left. Gamecocks with 2 timeouts from the 32. And Jenkins loops one deep down the field. It'll be incomplete. Looking for Barge. Second and 10 coming up.
And Sam Houston State brought the blitz on that play, did not allow Jenkins to have time to make a decision. He had to get rid of the football prematurely. Don't let an offensive player get behind you if you're a defender for Sam Houston State.
The Gamecocks with nearly 350 yards of total offense already. Jenkins, the late option pitch. And Jones steps out of bounds near the 25. And with 7 seconds left, decision time now for John Gross.
If they throw the ball and get a reception, they need to call timeout immediately. If it's not a touchdown, to try and get a field goal attempt.
Eli Jenkins, a redshirt sophomore, a lot resting on his shoulders right here. It's got to be a bang-bang play. Bearcats show pressure. Towards the end zone, looking for Barge. It's incomplete. 2 seconds left, or in coverage. Boy, that was close.
That was a great job by Orr getting that left hand in there to break up that pass. The pass was a great pass. Great job by Orr. He got that left hand in there to break up the pass. He looked back for the football, something we hadn't seen all day early in this ball game.
Connor Rulo, 10 of 16 this year in the field goal department, a long of 48. This one from 43. And he splits the uprights. So headed to halftime, Jacksonville State back out in front, 26-24. And the Bearcats will receive the second half kickoff. Well, first half that saw nearly 600 yards of total offense between these two teams ends with a 43-yard field goal at the buzzer to give the Gamecocks a lead. And Jacksonville State head coach John Gross now joins us. Coach, an entertaining first half, the offense working to perfection. Defensively, what are your adjustments at halftime?
Well, a little too entertaining for me. We got to get them stopped, get off field on third downs, and just do a better job there. And they made some plays. We knew they was going to make plays. We just got to get off field on third down. Second half, do a little better job of that defensively and continue moving the ball. One of the biggest thing I think is we said going in the game is our coverages. We hadn't done a great job on our coverages. They've outdone us on their returns, and it's been a huge field position battle there. Plus we turned it over once. They hadn't turned it over, and we turned it over. That's been the difference first half, I think.
Coach, we appreciate the time. Good luck in the second half.
Thank you. Appreciate it now.
John Gross in his first season, 10-1, riding a 10-game winning streak coming into today, and with work to be done at intermission. Our halftime reports coming up next here in Jacksonville, Alabama. The Gamecocks a 2-point lead here at JSU Stadium. Welcome to Jimmy V Week for Cancer Research on ESPN as we continue our commitment to the V Foundation and Jim Valvano's dream to defeat cancer. Back in Jacksonville, 26-24. Our second half kickoff coming up moments from now with Forrest Connolly, former Florida State offensive lineman. Roy Philpott here with you. Nearly 600 yards of total offense, 50 total points, back and forth. We went through those first two quarters. We expect more of the same in the second half, as the Bearcats will receive the second half kickoff. K.C. Keeler, first season, 9-4 out of the Southland Conference for Sam Houston State. Fourth straight year that the Bearcats have advanced in these FCS playoffs. And he's just excited to be here, as are we, and we hope that you, the viewer, are enjoying this one as well. It has been, well, entertaining and a lot of offense so far.
Well, I like Keeler's concept with his team. Don't get too high when you make big plays. Don't get too low when the other team makes big plays. When you look at a football game, there are 4 or 5 plays that will determine the outcome. And the question is, who will make those 4 or 5 plays in the second half? It depends on what defense decides to come out and step up. And when you look at the way this ball game is going, if it continues to go the way it's going now, it'll be the last offense on the field.
Certainly has that feel to it. The new world order that is college football, the offensive era, the spread offenses for us. You wish you played in this era instead of way back when, don't you?
Well, I played in the fast break offense with Charlie Ward, and Warwick Dunn and those guys, so we kind of had something like the spread. But one thing we did do is line up in the I formation. We dotted the I, and we played power football at times. And that's something that Coach Gross talked to us about with this spread offense that they run. He doesn't want to lose their identity as a tough ball club, so he wants to make sure that they run the ball at times. And you've seen that with DeMarcus James. I think what's been most impressive to me about the big fella when he runs the football is his footwork. He's able to stop and go, and I said you see a little bit of Jerome Bettis in him with his stop and go and explosion ability.
Away we go to begin this second half. Our Missouri Valley Football Conference officiating crew. Very busy first 2 quarters. We'll switch out and get a new football on the field for the Jacksonville State kicker, Connor Rulo. You know those kickers, they can always be a little pesky at times. Got to get the right football on, you know.
Kickers get no respect.
And you say that with a big smile on your face because you didn't respect him in Tallahassee either.
I'll tell you what, I respected Scott Bentley. He made the kick when we needed him to make the kick. So I love Scott Bentley. He's the one kicker I do respect.
Donovan Williams back deep to receive our opening second half kickoff. And it rolls out of bounds. So good field position for the Bearcats, and not what you wanted if you're John Gross, head coach of the Gamecocks.
Kickoff out of bounds. Number 98 on the kicking team. The ball would be placed at the 35-yard line.
Now, offensively, we know both teams can score, but which defense can step up and make enough stops? One thing we used to go into the half with the lead, our Coach Bowden would tell us as a team is defense. If they don't score again, we win the ball game. So I think that's the effect and the approach that you have to take if you're the Jacksonville State defense.
Difference is you played with Derek Brooks, and I don't see him on the field today.
Yeah, and I don't think they'll stop Sam Houston State from scoring in the second half. They will get a score.
From the 35, handoff to Hill. Dragged down from behind by Caleb Lawrence, who had an outstanding first half.
And I tell you what, man, I love this guy, man. But I'm starting the football team in the FCS. I'm going to find Caleb Lawrence to team him up with P.J. Hall. The big fella, he continues to let it all hang out, and he makes plays in the middle of that defense.
4 stops on the afternoon after a gain of 1. Temperature starting to drop in Jacksonville. Johnson off his back foot. Pass is incomplete, intended for Derek Edwards. Saran Neal in coverage, and quickly for us, it's 3rd down and long for the Bearcats.
Well, that was a good job by Nigel Terrell and LaMichael Fanning to get pressure on Johnson and not allow him to set his feet.
Sam Houston State 6 out of 9 on 3rd down in the first half. Play clock winding down. Johnson going to be sacked. Michael Carlisle will seal the deal after the early pressure by Darius Jackson.
Well, Darius Jackson did a great job getting around the right tackle, and what he did that was good, he reached around and pulled the ball out of Jared Johnson's hands, which made him work on recovering the football and not being able to go down the field with it.
Loss of 8 yards as Donovan launches a beautiful punt deep into JSU territory. Barge calls for the fair catch. It'll be 1st and 10 inside the 25 after the 3 and out by the Gamecocks defense.
Big defensive stand for Jacksonville State. Now, if they're able to get a touchdown on the board, you not only increase your lead, you put it now where you have a 2-score lead with an extra point.
After the 48-yard punt, 1st and 10 from the 23 for JSU. So we continue to watch the development of Eli Jenkins, a redshirt sophomore. He's grown up and then some this season. Straight ahead to Marcus James. There he goes. into Sam Houston State territory, finally brought down at the 41-yard line.
And DeMarcus James did not see a Sam Houston State defender until he got to the third level. Great job by the offensive line, pulling around, sealing P.J. Hall on the outside, and you see DeMarcus James break it through the middle and carry defenders down the field.
Gain of 36 yards, 1st and 10 for the Gamecocks. Off of play action, and that play going nowhere. Pass will be caught out of bounds. There is a late flag on the field. For it was almost like the Bearcats knew what play was being called in that sequence.
That may be offensive pass interference.
It was a designed tunnel screen after the play action fake. And this will go against Jacksonville
Pass
State.
interference, number 1 on the offense, making contact downfield. 15 yards from the previous spot, remains 1st down.
Big penalty against John Gross's club. Merrill, the guilty party.
And often when you see a guy put his hands up, like, I don't know, it wasn't me, that's an admission of guilt.
So a loss of 15 yards. It'll be 1st and 25. All the way back inside of JSU territory. DeMarcus James. And dives ahead for a gain of 3, call it 4. 2nd and long. Winner of this game will play the winner of Liberty and Villanova. That game will kick off at 4:30 today. So in about 20 minutes, Jacksonville State, the number 3 seed, Villanova a 6 seed. Chance for the Gamecocks to continue to host if they can survive and advance. Jenkins flush from the pocket and finally brought down for the sack. And he'll lose 4 yards.
And that was a great job by Jacoby Hunter, getting pressure, forcing Jenkins to be flushed out of the pocket and forcing him into the other defenders. That's what you got to do. If you can't get to him, force him into your teammates. Don't allow him to sit back and get comfortable, because we've seen when Jenkins is comfortable in the backfield, he can make plays with his arm.
Line 2 with the sack. Here's Jenkins with some running room. Far side. And dragged down short of 1st down yardage. Alfonso McMillan with a stop. It'll bring up 4th down and 10. And that pass interference play really comes back to haunt the Gamecocks.
But it puts Jacksonville State in a position to either go for it or kick the ball. It's you know, you have a decision to make, which is a little bit more difficult because you move the ball up. You're over on the other side of the field, but they're doing the right thing, I think, right now, playing field position football. Kick the ball, play field position. Your defense had a good series, the first series of this half. I think you kick it again, let your defense get back on the field. Don't give Sam Houston the short field.
McManus, of course, an all OVC punter, may play a role in that decision as well. It'll be Sam Houston State football inside its own 10-yard line. When we come back, a 2-point game, 11:15 remaining, 3rd quarter. Back in Jacksonville, 26-24. The Gamecocks with a 2-point lead here in the 2nd round of the FCS football playoffs. 2014 NCAA Division I championship continues next weekend with 3rd round games on December 13th. All games available on the Watch ESPN app and ESPN3.com. For more information, go to NCAA.com, the official online home for all 89 NCAA championships. On 1st down, Jared Johnson straight ahead. Gain of 6 yards. The stop made by Michael Carlisle, who's having himself a whale of a ball game for us. Bearcats go tempo. He'll fake the handoff to Overstreet, and Johnson tackled behind the line. Carlisle again with the tackle. 3rd down.
and you got man coverage out here on the outside with Ladarius Brown, I think you try and go to him.
Instead, it's Overstreet. And he's got the yardage, tackled out of bounds. No flag. Needed 3 and gained 7.
And if they continue to go man coverage on the outside against Ladarius Brown, I think we'll see Sam Houston State take another shot down the field, because they've still got Darius Miller on him at 5'10" versus Ladarius Brown at 6'4".
From the 26, Overstreet. Straight ahead. Hard running, finally tackled by Caleb Lawrence. And there's your boy again, making another play at the line of scrimmage.
Tell you what, man, I love this big fella. I know I've talked about him all day. When you come out with your belly hanging out, man, and you make plays, you gotta love it, man. You gotta love it. He's a football, old school throwback football player.
Johnson. Misdirection, and that play is blown up. Saran Neal smelled that one out from the get-go, and it's 3rd down and long.
And the coaching staff, they've got to take notice. You've got Brown out here, single man coverage, no safety help over the top against a 5'10" defender that he's shown he can beat off the line of scrimmage. You got to take your shots.
And the wind is at Sam Houston State's back. Big play for the Bearcats. They'll go option. Donovan Williams stops short of the sticks. It'll be 4th down and short. Ben Indris, second team All-OVC linebacker.
And if I'm Ladarius Brown, I'm going to the sideline and telling the coaches, Coach, look, give me a chance. Give me an opportunity. I can beat this guy on the outside. Throw the ball up. That's all you have to do is throw it up.
Brown back on the bench. Donovan comes on to punt this one away, and it's nearly blocked, and here comes a flag. Barge fields it inside of his own 20, brought down there. Another flag on the field as he's game tackled. We'll check the call here.
Regardless, Sam Houston State will get the ball back, roughing the kicker, because that was before the catch was made. I think it's a block in the back as well. So they may get the ball back plus 30 yards.
Greg Sujak, our head referee today, been very busy.
There are 2 fouls on the play by Jacksonville State. During the return, there was an illegal block in the back. That penalty is declined. During the kick, personal foul, roughing the kicker on the kicking team. 15 yards from the previous spot. Automatic 1st down.
And Forrest, you could make the argument that punt should have been blocked. So it's feast or famine for Jacksonville State special teams. And instead of feasting, they give the ball back to Sam Houston State. Bearcats trail by 2, but a golden opportunity now with the football on their own 49. Casey Keeler's got to be pleased with that sequence.
Well, you like the aggressiveness by the special teams to try and get the block, but if you're not going to block the kick, you cannot run through the kicker's plant foot. When you run through the kicker's plant foot, that's when you're going to get the roughing the kicker call, as opposed to running into the kicker, which would only have been a 5-yard penalty. 8
penalties for the Gamecocks for 89 yards, just 1 against Sam Houston State so far. So it's been a cleaner game played by the visitors from Huntsville, Texas. And here comes the crowd. Overstreet chased by Indris and shoved out of bounds after a short pickup.
And Sam Houston State continues to try to get to the edge, but Jacksonville State is doing a good job of stretching those plays out to the sideline, and they've got pursuit coming, so when the back tries to cut back, there's nowhere for him to go.
A gain of 2. It brings up 2nd down and 8. We have not seen a lot of Keyshawn Hill in this second half so far. Been more of Jalen Overstreet. The play fake. And down the field he goes. There's Brown, and there's a touchdown. The second connection of the ball game from Jared Johnson to Ladarius Brown, the transfer from TCU.
That's all you have to do. Go over the top to the big fella. You see him on a post route, easy pitch and catch. He runs right by the defender. Great ball placement, great catch by Brown, easy touchdown.
His second touchdown, 4 total catches, nearly 90 yards, and he's become the difference in this game.
He is a matchup problem, and as long as Jacksonville State continues to cover him in man coverage and they do not have a safety over the top, I will continue to throw the football to him. Maybe the Sam Houston State coaches heard us the last series, me begging them to throw him the football. He's got man coverage on the outside. You cannot cover him with one man, and he's got a 6-inch height advantage as well as a speed advantage, because if that defensive back tries to bump him off the line of scrimmage, he's big enough to knock him down. So you have to play off a little bit and try and use your athletic ability. And when you throw the ball up, he can high point the football.
One of the things K.C. Keeler told us this week, he loved the matchup of his wide receivers versus this Jacksonville State secondary, and we are seeing that play out to fruition perfectly if you're a fan of the Bearcats. They have exploited that matchup, maybe not as many times as Forrest Connolly wants, but enough to have a 4-point lead, and they'll go for 2. Overstreet will flank Johnson to the end zone and incomplete. Looking for Gerald Thomas. Odin in coverage. 30-26 our score. 8:03 remaining here in the third quarter. Sam Houston State back out in front. Jared Johnson's already accounted for more than 200 yards of total offense and 4 touchdowns back in Jacksonville with Forrest Connolly, former Florida State standout Roy Philpott. And what a game this has turned out to be. Second round action in the FCS playoffs. The winner will advance to play the winner of Villanova and Liberty. That game kicking off right now. But plenty of work left to be done here for both sides.
What's interesting to me, Roy, is they went for 2 points on that extra point. If you kick the field goal, the extra point, and you kick a field goal, you're up 8 points. Now, if they kick a field goal, they're only up 7 points. I don't know if I would have done that.
Tremaine Pope, near side, and crosses midfield. Jacksonville State with outstanding field position to begin this next drive with under 8 to play in our third quarter. And Pope's had himself a whale of a performance today as well. Well, Forrest, first time that Jacksonville State has trailed in the second half in its last 10 games. That's right now, so the pressure on the shoulders of the Gamecocks and Eli Jenkins.
Well, it was interesting when we brought that up to Coach Gross. He said he didn't realize it. And that lets you know they're laser focused on winning ball games, not what's going on during the ball game.
They'll fake the handoff to James and batted down by who else? P.J. Hall. You may not see his name as often on the score sheet today after this one, but he's impacted so many plays.
Well, if he can't get there, he does what a defensive lineman is taught to do. Jump up and knock the football down. Great job by Hall. He's been a presence throughout this afternoon.
Just a redshirt freshman. Jenkins keeps the play alive as he crosses the 45. Tackle made by Hall.
And you see the quickness on that play. He crashed down. Jenkins keeps the football. He's able to stop, change directions, and get out there and be quick enough to be a part of that tackle on Jenkins.
5 tackles today so far for P.J. Hall. And a big third down coming up. Well, don't you have to think about handing it off to your big running back, the senior DeMarcus James? He's been quiet in this third quarter.
They're packing it in right now. It looks like they're going to bring the blitz.
A 6-man front shown by the Bearcats. Jenkins will pull the handoff. Short of the first down. It'll be 4th down and 2, and decision time now for John Gross. Forrest, you look at some of the numbers so far, and James's rush for 112 yards and a touchdown. 4th down and short. Do you roll the dice here, trailing by 4?
I don't think so. I think you punt the football, because if you roll the dice and you don't get this first down, Now momentum is all the way over there on Sam Houston State's side, and they're taking a lot of time right now. I don't know if they're going to have enough time to get the playoff, and if they do, they're going to have to rush it now.
Jumbo package. Handoff to James. Stumbles in the backfield. Needed to get to the 40-yard line. He did not make it.
And they were too unsure on that play. You saw them rushing to get the play in and get the play called before the time ran out on the play clock. I just don't like that decision.
Sione Latu with the stop. One of the biggest plays of this game so far. Mufa Debo as well leading the charge.
And when you've got 4th and 1, you want to go north and south. You don't want your big fella going east and west and then trying to plant and get north and south. You have to run a traditional I formation downhill play. I don't like that call, and now you've put this hot offense from Sam Houston State back on the field.
6:17 remaining in the third quarter. Bearcats with the lead and possession of the football. And looking for more. Edwards makes the catch, crosses the 40. A late flag on the field after a pickup of 17.
Easy pitch and catch on the slant play. Man coverage, pressing him on the outside.
Ineligible man downfield on the offense. Number 56. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Zachary Stevens in the wrong place at the wrong time. Well, that's a costly play with Sam Houston State seizing momentum in this one the last couple of minutes. Casey Keeler got to take advantage of these opportunities.
But they're still getting what they want. Man coverage on the outside, and they like the matchup with their receivers against the defensive backs from Jacksonville State.
First down and 15. Handoff to Overstreet. Bowls his way over Caleb Lawrence. A gain of 3.
Once they get the safety to commit to coming into the box and they get Ladarius Brown with single man coverage on the outside, I think they'll go right back to him. Folo Johnson is the key. If he walks up and Jarrett Johnson sees him up in the box, then you've got single man coverage on the outside with Ladarius Brown.
And you have that at the bottom of your screen. 85 versus 31 in red. Instead, it's option the other way. Johnson towards midfield. And lassoed down by Saran Neal once again. So after the 3-yard run by Overstreet on 1st and 15, a 9-yard scamper by Johnson. And that'll bring up 3rd down and 4.
Man coverage with no safety help down on the bottom of the screen. Ladarius Brown.
The option. Overstreet. And the Sam Houston State Bearcats will get a new set of downs. Stop made by DeBarius Miller.
And that's a great job by the receivers blocking on that play to give him the space that he needed to get the first down. And when you look at last week's ball game, Hill being out, I think that has bode well for Jalen Overstreet and Donovan Williams in this ball game. They got a lot of playing time, and they're showing how well they played last week and what they're able to do right now in the second half of this ball game.
From the 43, looking for Edwards. And a late flag. There was some contact working against Jalen Hill. And this will go against the Gamecocks.
Looked like he held on that play.
Defensive holding. Number 4. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
And the crowd is booing, but it's a good call. Jalen Hill grabbed the receiver on that play and did not allow him to break to the outside where Johnson put the football.
And the penalties really starting to stack up.
And you know, sometimes, Roy, when you have an extra week off, you lose your rhythm. And it seems that Sam Houston State is in more of a rhythm offensively right now than the defense for Jacksonville State.
9 penalties, 100 penalty yards against the Gamecocks. And there he goes. It's Overstreet. Touchdown, Bearcats. Jalen Overstreet from 33 yards out, and K.C. Keeler is in business here in Jacksonville.
Untouched, unscathed. There was no one there. He just ran through the biggest hole, and he just had to sprint as hard as he could to get to the end zone. There was nobody at the second or third level for him to run through or fake out or try and get past. Everybody came up.
14 carries, 61 yards, and a touchdown for Jalen Overstreet.
And I tell you what, enough cannot be said about this offensive line and the way that they've blocked this afternoon. Great job.
4:08 remaining in our third quarter. An 11-point lead for Sam Houston State. (37-26) back in Jacksonville. Sam Houston State, the 11-point advantage. 4:08 remaining in our third quarter. A 33-yard scoring scamper from Jalen Overstreet, the Texas transfer. He's given the Bearcats new life. These two schools separated by 728 miles. Used to be rivals in the Southland Conference. There's Pope, the stutter step. And dragged down short of the 30-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 from the 28. Well, we want to encourage you to help us beat cancer as Jimmy V Week continues. The V Foundation awards 100% of direct donations and net proceeds of events to fund cancer research. Log on to jimmyv.org or call 1-800-4-JIMMY-V to donate. Founded back in 1993 for us. I don't know that there's ever been a coach as inspirational as the late Jim Valvano.
Well, you think about his speech, man, never give up, and it just resonates in the fight against cancer.
On first down, back to the ground. There's DeMarcus James.
You have to wonder how comfortable Jacksonville State is throwing the football throughout the rest of this second half. Their identity is running the football and, you know, having a passing game off of the running game. But when you're in a passing situation where they know it's a passing situation, now you've got guys like P.J. Hall that can pin their ears back and come after your quarterback. And we've seen in obvious passing downs him be a terror to block throughout this afternoon.
Mike Chapman gets off the field after a brief injury. He'll have to sit out this play. First down after back-to-back runs by DeMarcus James. A double tight end set. It's James again, breaks one tackle and can't escape A.J. Davis.
And it's a great job by Davis getting his feet, getting his legs. You can't tackle him up top. He's too powerful. You've got to tackle him down low. You've got to wrap him up. And if you notice, Jacksonville State is going to their power formation, two tights.
James again, Latu with the tackle after a gain of 2 yards.
And the thing about this, if you're not able to get a first down, you're eating up a lot of clock if you're Jacksonville State University. So you have to make sure you're getting first downs and you're putting your team in a position to score. I know this is their identity, but at the same time, you're 2 scores behind right now.
Still plenty of time left, under 3 minutes remaining here just in our third quarter. Jenkins will keep it. Dances his way but finds no daylight. He'll lose yardage. Mike Chapman back on the field. And Desmond Fite assisting with the takedown. 4th down coming up for JSU.
And now you put this dangerous Sam Houston State offense that has come out hot in the second half back on the field. If you're Sam Houston State, you don't worry about trying to get a block right here. You let him get the kickoff. You just want the ball back.
Gerald Thomas goes back deep to receive. And he'll field it at his own 13. Makes one move, needs a block. Gets it. Far side off to the races. A flag is on the field as he tiptoes his way across the 50, and here comes another flag. And emotion starting to get the best of these two teams. Some chippiness on both sides.
And I think they're going to be offsetting because Jacksonville State the player decided to let his emotions get the best of him. It could have been a block in the back, maybe offsetting. It's going to be interesting to see what this call is.
Well, the Gamecocks so far forced 9 penalties, 99 penalty yards, just 2 against Sam Houston State. So again, it's been a cleaner game played by the team out in front.
And you have to look at rhythm.
So one foul against the Gamecocks, the other against the Bearcats. And Greg Sujak, quick conversation with John Gross and with Casey Keeler.
So what they'll do, they'll march the yards off from the spot of the holding penalty. Then they'll add 15 yards because of the personal foul penalty.
We have offsetting fouls. During the return, illegal block in the back, number 35 on the return team. During the tackle, we have personal foul, number 59. Those fouls offset, we will replay 4th down.
Or they'll replay 4th down. Which it hurts Jacksonville State, because they would have had Sam Houston State playing deep in their own territory. With that penalty, it happened down on the 19-yard line, so I assume they would have been down inside their 15-yard line on the penalty. It would have been half the distance to the goal. You can't make those type of mental errors when you're trying to get back into a ball game.
So McGinnis, the all-OVC punter, will stand again inside his own 30. And Gerald Thomas back deep to receive, the junior out of Plano, Texas. And the punt sails out of bounds. Let's see where they'll mark it.
You see the Jacksonville State coaching staff trying to assist the officials in where the ball should be marked.
So from the 31, all things being equal, pretty good field position for the Bearcats for their next drive. Updated scores in the FCS playoffs. It is round 2 this weekend. Quarterfinals coming up next weekend. Liberty has grabbed an early 7-0 lead at Villanova, the number 6 seed. Coastal Carolina advances past Richmond. So the 7-seeded Chanticleers onto the quarterfinals. And North Dakota State, a touchdown advantage in the first half against South Dakota State. So the action fast and furious this time of year. And we're glad you could join us with 1:36 remaining in the third quarter. Bearcats an 11-point lead. Jared Johnson is able to get his way past Endress. And a gain of 7 yards on first down.
And what they're doing a lot of with Sam Houston State's offense, they're using the running back Donovan Williams to be the lead blocker through the hole, giving Jared Johnson the opportunity to pick which way he wants to run the football.
And there's that matchup again at the bottom of your screen. Brown versus Miller. And Williams gets the handoff, a yard short of where he needed to go. Endress with a stop. And a big 3rd down and 1 coming up with time winding down in our third quarter.
And because of their effectiveness running the football, the safeties have to play in the box, which gives them the man coverage on the outside that they want.
Here comes the option. Overstreet gets to the edge and gets just past Michael Carlisle. He needed a yard. He picked up 3.
And now with a first down, I think this is when they'll try and go over the top once again to Ladarius Brown. If he gets that man coverage on the outside with Darius Miller and the safety is up in the box, you got what you want.
Derek Edwards trying to buckle up his helmet. An equipment malfunction, dare I say. That's never a good sign. Transfer from Texas Tech. And that should be the final play of our third quarter. And it was a quarter dominated by the Bearcats of Sam Houston State.
It's the end of the third quarter.
Trailing by 2 coming in. They'll exit with an 11-point advantage as we head to the fourth quarter in Jacksonville. Bearcats with the lead and momentum. Back in Jacksonville, start of our fourth quarter. An 11-point lead for Sam Houston State with Forrest Connolly, former Florida State offensive lineman Roy Philpott. In chilly Jacksonville, 1st and 10 for the Bearcats. And the handoff straight ahead is Donovan Williams. Gain of 4 yards on first down, and Forrest, it's early in the fourth, but chance to chew some clock, and if you can put some more distance between yourself and Jacksonville State, you got to like Sam Houston State's chances here.
Well, Sam Houston State's offensive line, they're starting to assert themselves against the defensive line for Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State's defense has been on the field a lot in the second half.
You saw some of the rushing numbers. Straight ahead goes Johnson. That one was sniffed out at the line of scrimmage. Carlisle. Another tackle. And 3rd down and 9.
And that was a dangerous play. Johnson lost control of the football on that play.
Winner of this game advances to the quarterfinals of the FCS playoffs next week.
Got man coverage at the bottom of the screen with Derek Edwards.
We'll try to set up the screen. Overstreet's got it, but nowhere close to the first down. He needed 9, and Endress made sure he only got 4.5.
That was a good job by Johnson double pumping on that play, because I think Endress had a beat on the football, and that could have been a pick 6 if he would have threw it when he initially wanted to.
Donovan back on the field. Barge will wait for the fair catch at his 13. As we step aside, 13-19 remaining. Jacksonville State football when we come back. 13 unanswered points on the scoreboard for Sam Houston State. They lead Jacksonville State here inside of JSU Stadium by 11. Critical drive coming up for the Gamecocks, and for us this second half, JSU has yet to register 1 passing yard. So Eli Jenkins needs to find a way to get something going here offensively. Operating out of the shotgun, pocket collapsing. And the pass is incomplete, looking for Anthony Johnson. Trey Orr in coverage.
And because of P.J. Hall's ability to affect their passing game, they have to leave a back end to help block him, which eliminates one of their receivers.
And Hall has been an absolute force coming off that strong side. 5-man front for the Bearcats here on 2nd and long. On play action, pass is going to be nearly picked off and somehow caught. Anthony Johnson. Well, Trey Orr gambled on that one, and he comes up snake eyes, but a big catch for Johnson in the first down.
Dangerous, dangerous pass. Trey Orr almost had a pick 6, which would have very likely closed this game on out. But I tell you what, Jenkins better be careful with that football, because they've got a bead on what he's trying to do when he's passing the football.
Hand off to Jones, plows his way across the 30. A gain of 4 yards on first down. Jones, one of 3 running backs for Jacksonville State with over 600 yards rushing this year. And Pope, it looked like, bobbled the handoff momentarily. And Demonte Wheeler with the tackle.
I just don't think running the football is going to get it. You've got to get into a passing game right now. I know we've got 12 minutes left in this ball game, but outside of that last series, Sam Houston State has been able to move the football and run time off the clock. And they just don't seem to be in a hurry, Jacksonville State.
3rd down and a long 5. Here comes pressure. P.J. Hall backside. Jenkins ahead, and he's got the first down. It's Anthony Johnson once again. So the sophomore from Maplesville, Alabama, coming up clutch here in the fourth quarter.
And that was a great job by Jenkins to use his feet to get outside of the pocket, allows receivers to break open and get the first down.
Gamecocks 4 of 11 on third down. Handoff to Tremaine Pope. And it looked like he had some running room outside. Instead, is brought down by P.J. Hall. After a 3, call it a 4-yard pickup. A 14-yard gain by Johnson, followed by a 3-yard rush by Pope. From the 48, Jenkins gets a half-yard. Latu with the tackle.
And Sione Latu made a great tackle because P.J. Hall went to the outside, thought the ball was going outside on a sweep around. If Latu doesn't make that tackle, Jenkins may still be running the football.
Second half has been dominated by the Bearcats defense. And looking for another stop here on third down. Here comes more pressure. Jenkins. Flag on the field as he sails one out of bounds, looking for J.D. Williams. And this should be holding against Jacksonville State.
Great pressure by Latu.
Holding. Number 58 on the offense. Penalty is declined.
And you see on the outside, P.J. Hall, once again, the offensive tackle grabs him and pulls him down. P.J. Hall, although he's not had the sacks he had last week, his pressure has supplied this defense with just what they needed. There have been about 4 or 5 penalties of holding against him because of the pressure that he brings and puts on the quarterback.
The punt by McGinnis. Fair caught at the 5 by Thomas. And now it's up to the Gamecocks defense. They need a stop, or better yet, a turnover. 10:36 remaining. Bearcats still lead it by 11. Remaining back in Jacksonville, led by our producer Bruce Copeland and our hardworking ESPN crew, Forrest Connolly, Roy Philpott. And off we go. A big possession for both teams. An 11-point lead for the Bearcats. And Overstreet up to the 25. The tackle by Johnson. But Forrest a pickup of 15 yards on first down, and Sam Houston State dominating the line of scrimmage right now.
Well, it's a war of attrition down in the trenches, and the defensive line for Jacksonville State is starting to take its toll on those guys.
Edwards the catch in the flats, and shoved out of bounds by Miller.
Very safe passing game. I like what Sam Houston State is doing. They're not putting Johnson in a position to fail. They're putting him in a position to be very successful. He's settled down, and when he sets his feet, he's got a rocket for an arm.
25 yards on the first 2 plays. A flag on the field as Overstreet is shoved backwards. He'll lose a yard. Carlisle, Lawrence, pick your poison again with that Jacksonville State defense. We'll check the penalty.
Offside. Defense, number 40. 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
Forrest, the 10th penalty of this game against Jacksonville State. That one costly. Instead of third down, it'll be second and short. John Gross not very pleased with how this one is going so far.
And that's a fatigue penalty right there. Fatigue is starting to set in, and it is a first down.
Well, on 2nd and 5, the penalty yields the first down. From the 35-yard line, delayed handoff. Ball comes out late as Sigler made the tackle. He was down. No gain on the play.
I tell you what, the back judge, He didn't blow his whistle.
Ruling on the field is that the runner was down.
We've seen a lot of calls in college football in the last week or so. You go back to that Georgia Tech game where you've had players, it looks like forward progress has stopped. Were they down? It's hard to tell.
When the situations like that, you need to always play through the play. If you're the defender, pick up the football, because if they determine that you picked up the football and you recovered it after they look back at it and say it was a fumble, you do get the ball. You don't get to advance it, but you do get the recovery.
2nd down and 10. Deion Hutchinson, the tight end, late getting back on the field. Johnson with a flag. Avoids one tackler, finally stopped by Johnson. It's Folo Johnson with the takedown. Flag in the area of holding. Deion Hutchinson picks up the personal foul. And for us, I'm not exactly sure what he did, but it must have been something pretty significant.
44.
The sophomore tight end out of Giddings, Texas. No catches this year for Deion Hutchinson. And Casey Keeler wondering what the heck happened there.
You can't do that. You've just got to continue to play sound football. You've got 9 minutes to extend your season. You can't have mistakes like that on a drive that you need to continue to get first downs.
2nd and 24. Caleb Lawrence's stop against Overstreet. A gain of 4 yards. Clock winding down, now under 9 minutes to play. You're the Gamecocks. You need a stop right here to get the football back.
And I know sense tells you to run the football, to continue to run clock, but I'll take a shot over the top. If they're continuing to play man on the outside, I'll take a shot over the top. See if I can get a big play or get an interference call. You got Ladarius Brown at the top of the screen. You know, I think you take a shot. You've got Derek Edwards down on the bottom.
A height advantage. Instead, it's a quarterback draw. They'll bleed a little more clock up to the 29, but Jacksonville State will get the football back after the tackle made by Neal. So the defense finds a way to get the job done for us. But under 8 minutes to play, Gamecocks have to have a sense of urgency now on offense.
And this is when you take all the time. If you're the punt team, I'll burn it all the way down, and I may even call a timeout, let all the time run out the clock.
Halfway through the 4th quarter, Jacksonville State has been held scoreless so far in the 2nd half. And a line drive punt will take a Sam Houston State bounce. You better look out there for a second. Josh Barge. Timeout on the field as we step aside. 7:10 remaining. The plot thickens in Jacksonville. Gamecocks need points. You're watching the NCAA FCS Football Championship, brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Back here in Jacksonville, Alabama, the number 3 seed on the ropes, trailing Sam Houston State by 11, but with possession of the football. Forrest Conley, Roy Philpott. And the Gamecocks got to find some kind of spark offensively. Here comes A.J. Davis with a blitz. Pocket breaks down, and Jenkins loses the football. That's Latu with the pressure. And they'll call him down inside the 20.
And they are bringing the house. They're bringing all of their linebackers.
Was down before
They're going man coverage on the outside. You've got to throw hot. And when you're in a position where you have to throw the football against this Sam Houston State defense, they're going to bring pressure. They like to bring a bunch of odd blitzes.
A loss of 10 yards. Now under 6:40 left to play. More pressure. Jenkins. Down he goes again. Mufadibu.
And I tell you what, these bookends for Sam Houston State have come to play this afternoon. Mufadibu, he was a freshman All-American last year. You see him beat the tackle to the outside. One thing these tackles for Jacksonville State have done all afternoon is open up that outside shoulder and create a short corner for these defensive ends to get around and get to the quarterback.
5 sacks for Adibo this season. 3rd down in Birmingham to go. Jenkins again pressured. Has some running room. And has the first down, Eli Jenkins. Well, there's the spark that Gamecocks have been searching for in this second half.
And when you bring the house and the quarterback is able to break contain or find the seam, there's no one at the second level to make the tackle.
He needed 25. He gained 29. From the 44, Jenkins again. There goes Eli Jenkins. Into Bearcat territory, down at the 30. A gain of 26 yards.
But running the football, the clock continues to run after the officials set the ball and get the yard marker set. But once again, you see Jenkins' running ability. He does a good job of covering the football and not allowing the defenders to make a play and try and knock the ball out.
17 carries, 82 yards, and a touchdown for Eli Jenkins. Mufadibu being helped off the field.
And when you've got a pass rush coming like they're bringing from Sam Houston State, and then they have to chase the quarterback down the field, that tends to tire defense out. So this Mufadibu injury right now really helps Sam Houston State kind of catch their breath and catch their wind. And you hear the fans booing. They think he's faking. I don't think he is. But at the same time, it allows his teammates to catch their breath and kind of regroup after 2 big plays by the quarterback, Eli Jenkins, for Jacksonville State University.
It's a 2-possession ball game. Gamecocks have to have points on the scoreboard here. A field goal would make it an 8-point advantage. From the 30, here comes more pressure. Jenkins. Pass is caught.
And A.J. Davis timed the snap count perfectly. It's going to be a holding penalty. When you're Eli Jenkins, you got to hold that snap. You can't allow them to time it like that. Great job by A.J. Davis on the blitz.
Holding, number 62 on the offense.
And Forrest, we're seeing this at times, that pressure right up the gut. Max Holcomb, the center, a first-team All-OVC performer, trying to plead his case.
Well, he needs to calm down. You see right here, he's holding A.J. Davis clearly. But that's on the quarterback. You've got to hold the snap count. You see the blitz coming, hold the snap count, you'll get an easy 5 yards.
Credit Mike Collins, defensive coordinator for the Bearcats, dialing up pressure. Jenkins looking for Merrill. Did he make the catch? No, he did not. Incomplete. Well, it looked like he had a clean grab.
But both officials are there from both sides, and they see that he did not make the catch, and he's not arguing at all. But once again, you see Trey Orr not turning around to locate the football. Let's see if he made this catch.
Boy, that's close. I mean, that's close.
Very, very close, but I think they're going to say that he didn't control the ball throughout the catch. The ball was on the ground more so. Now, the ball can hit the ground if you've got control of the football. It's going to be interesting because it's called a no catch on the play, so it's got to be inconclusive to overturn that call, and I don't think it will be if they look at it. I don't care how many times they do.
The ruling on the field was of an incomplete pass. Jacksonville State has taken timeout to challenge the play. The play is under further review.
So they'll take it to the replay booth. Gerald Hodges out of the SEC will take a look at it. But I agree 100% with you, Forrest. There's not enough video evidence to overturn the call on the field. We'll take one more look at it. It's a great effort by Marcus Merrill.
but it's got to be a clear overturning. You've got two officials.
He's got the hand underneath it. You just don't know what's happening while you're shielded by his body.
Oh, no, that's not a catch.
Incomplete.
Incomplete.
Great work by our camera crew. Great work, guys. That's the angle that we needed.
Great job by our camera crew. They got every angle that you could possibly see. Doesn't have it right there. You see it's on the ground.
Forrest, they talk about football being a game of inches. Literally an inch separates Jacksonville State from a touchdown versus a non-score on that play.
Yes. And Trey Orr, you got away with that. And you see Coach Gross saying touchdown, but it's clearly not a touchdown. They're not showing them the views that we saw. And when the replay officials, I think, look at both views that we just saw, it's clearly not a catch.
Well, here's what's at stake. Winner advances to the quarterfinals of the FCS playoffs and will face the winner between Villanova and Liberty. A pair of first-year head coaches leading the way for both of these teams in this ball game. Jacksonville State has won 10 games in a row as we get the call.
After review, the ruling on the field of an incomplete pass is confirmed.
And that's the right call. I know the fans don't like it, but from the views that we saw, and I think when Coach Gross looks at the replays that we saw, he'll agree that that was not a catch on that play. And now what's most important as well, now they've wasted a timeout. So you still got to get a score and get the ball back and get another score.
2 timeouts remaining for the Gamecocks and John Gross. More importantly, second down and 20 with 5:01 remaining. Jenkins crunched out of bounds.
And the officials run the clock on that play. They don't give him a clock stoppage on that play, so they've got to keep going with the offense. And once again, we see P.J. Hall crashing to the inside, but able to change direction and get to the outside and flush the quarterback out and not allow him to turn up the field north and south.
And you got to believe this is 4-down territory for Jacksonville State, trailing by 2 scores. It's 3rd down and 18. And Jenkins will go deep. Down the field, nearly intercepted, and a late flag. Boy, talk about a bailout call. Credit Jenkins for taking the chance, but if you're Sam Houston State, you got to be smarter than that for us.
Well, this is what they've done all afternoon. They don't turn around and look
Pass
for the football.
Defense, 15 yards from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
On 3rd down and 18, the automatic first down on the PI call. Michael Wade in the area.
You can see Coach Keeler, he's looking very agitated at this point. I see the coaching staff. This has to be something that they talked to them about at halftime. You've got to turn around and locate the football. The receiver could not have made a play on that football.
Fresh set of downs for Eli Jenkins with time. Down the field, caught by Pope. Dances his way down the sidelines. He'll be ruled out of bounds inside the 10, right at the 9-yard line. So another first down after a pickup of 15 yards. The stop made by Orr.
And Jenkins wanted to go to screws on this play on a post flag route, but a great job breaking contain, finding his receiver Tremaine Pope to get positive yards, get the first down, and give them a new set of downs inside the 10-yard line.
Gamecocks have to operate with a sense of urgency. Under 4 to play. Pope remains in the backfield. And a timeout called by the Bearcats. So Sam Houston State now with 1 timeout left. Casey Keeler going to talk things over with his defense.
And you see the coaching staff from Jacksonville State trying to figure out why the clock was running, because Pope got out of bounds on that play. They're talking to the officials right now about that.
Winner of this game advances to the quarterfinals of the FCS playoffs. The loser, their season is done. It'll be first and goal for JSU after the timeout, trailing by 11. So the situation is this: you can kick a field goal this close and you're back within one possession with the 2-point conversion. Or if you score, obviously, for us, you got to go for 2 to try to get back within 3. And 2 timeouts to work with on defense. You force a 3 and out. If you score quickly, you got a chance.
I think you got to try and get a touchdown right now. You're inside the 10-yard line. It's easier to get in field goal range than it is to get in touchdown range. You've got a first down inside the 10. You challenge your ball club. You say, guys, hey, you want to continue to play or you want to pack it up? And you got to get a touchdown right here. You can't even think about a field goal right now. End zone or equipment room, one or the other.
Jacksonville State has been held scoreless in this second half. Jenkins with time again towards the end zone, looking for Merrill, and it's going to be intercepted. Everett makes the pick and the touchback in the back of the end zone.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, might be the ball game. Great job by the defensive backs, finally playing the football and not the receiver. There was coverage on top, coverage underneath. Great job by Mikael Everett to make a play on that football, keep his feet in bounds. Great job by the defense. And you hate to see that because Jacksonville State had done a great job getting the ball down the field.
Third interception of the season for Everett, the junior from Covington, Washington. And maybe the biggest play of the year for Sam Houston State for us.
Now protect the football. Don't try and get fancy with it. Hand the ball off. Nothing fancy.
Donovan Williams with the carry. Gamecocks with just 2 timeouts remaining. Tackle made by Ben Endress. And Casey Keeler starting to fill this one.
And if Jacksonville State can get a stop on second down, they'll start to use their timeouts.
Officially a gain of 6 yards. And a smart move here by Jared Johnson to allow this clock to wind all the way down inside of 5 seconds on the play clock. Williams lassoed in the backfield and dragged down Devontae Sigler. So a loss of 3 yards on the play. It'll bring up 3rd down and long, and the Gamecocks use one of their 2 final timeouts.
Timeout. Jacksonville State. It will be a 30-second timeout.
3rd down and long for us. Do you dare put the football in the air, or do you try to bleed more clock and make Jacksonville State use another timeout?
Oh, I'm definitely going to make them use their last timeout. You hand the football off. You hope to get a play. You run it to the outside where you got more room to try and get around the edge, but you tell your backs, do not go out of bounds and hold on and protect the football, and then make them use that last timeout. You want to give them, if you're going to give them the ball back, you want to put them in rush mode. You don't want them to have any timeouts having to get 2 scores. You're tempted to throw the football because if you get a first down, ball game is over, but you can't throw the football and miss the pass and stop the clock, leaving them with a timeout. You've got to force them to use it.
First tackle for loss in this ball game by Sigler, the 2014 OVC Defensive Player of the Year. And it comes at a critical time, but he could use one more right here. 3rd down, call it 8. Thomas in motion. And Williams with a handoff. Needs to cross the 30. And comes very close to first down yardage.
I think that's a first down. And if that is, ball game. First down.
Jalen Hill made the stop, but not before Sam Houston State gets a critical first down. And with just 1 timeout remaining,
yeah,
Bearcats in control here.
Great job in the second half by Pope carrying the football. We didn't see Keyshawn Hill. You have to wonder were there any lingering effects from that slight concussion he had last week. Excuse me, Donovan Williams.
And there goes Johnson. All the way up to the 45-yard line. Well, you think about Sam Houston State this season for started 1-3. They lost to Division II Colorado State Pueblo 47-21 some 2.5 months ago. And look at how far they've come since then. 9-4. Beat Southeastern Louisiana last week in the first round of the FCS playoffs, and now perhaps on their way to the quarterfinals.
Well, what they did, they had 2 off weeks. They had 1 game in 28 days, and they used all that time to simplify their defense, to get better, and the coaching staff called it the get better weeks. And that's what they did. They got better, and they depended on one another. Last week they had a tough ball game. They didn't score in the first half. This week they're holding this team scoreless in the second half. So you've seen a tale of 2 ball games. They had an offensive explosion today, 37 points, playing against a ball club that had not lost in its last 10 ball games. So great job by the Sam Houston State coaches. I think the thing, if I'm their coaching staff, I look at working on going into next week's ball game is I have to work on my defensive backs turning and looking for the football. Too many penalties, too many pass interference calls. But outside of that, they've had a great defensive performance. And once again, P.J. Hall has done a great job on the outside. You have to give credit as well to Mufa Debo. He's done a great job, too.
15-yard penalty from the succeeding spot. Automatic first down.
Another infraction against Jacksonville State. It's been an incredible run for John Gross in his first season. 10 straight wins. But it looks like it's going to finally come to a close here on the home field as a number 3 seed. There were a lot of people thinking this Gamecocks club can make a run all the way to the national championship.
Well, you've got a team in Sam Houston State that's used to being here. This team played for the national championship 2 years in a row. Last year they got to the second round, lost to a common opponent, a conference opponent in Southeastern Louisiana, an opponent that really knew them well. This is a ball club to be reckoned with. And you've got to love what Coach Keeler's coming in and doing after what Coach Fritz did in his years at Sam Houston State University.
Willie Fritz moved on to Georgia Southern, a sensational first year in the Sun Belt. Casey Keeler steps in after a long run at Delaware and a year away from the game. And it's business as usual in Huntsville, Texas. Once again in 2014, the Bearcats headed back to the quarterfinals and a chance for that elusive national championship. One more snap should just about do it. And the Bearcats have done it. An impressive victory out of the Southland Conference. Casey Keeler advances to the quarterfinals. Forrest, final comments here in Jacksonville.
Sam Houston State, a team that's used to winning. They've gotten back to their winning ways in the FCS playoffs. I tell you what, whoever draws them next better watch out, and they better get the offensive lineman ready because Mr. P.J. Hall is coming.
So for our producer, Bruce Copeland, and for our analyst, Forrest Connolly here in the booth, I'm Roy Philpott saying so long from Burgess Snow Field here at JSU Stadium in Jacksonville, where the final score, Sam Houston State 37 and Jacksonville State 26. To watch this entire game on replay, as well as other games on our family of ESPN networks, log on to WatchESPN.com or download the Watch ESPN app. Thanks for watching, and so long. This has been a presentation of ESPN.